Oh, right. Murder! He murdered his MacBook. Sure. It killed itself. Sure. Yeah.
That was the black screen of death.
Yeah, on PC.
Yeah.
It's cool.
You should give it a funeral.
Yeah. Oh my god. That should be your next video. Yeah. Okay. The audio is working. Wow. Today we mourn. Let's consistently remind Max dead computer. Yeah. There you go. You hate to see that. He errors out. It's a 404. Comfort blanket. Hit present and then present again. I left you a surprise. It'll be a surprise. Oh no, it's coming. It's gonna come out of nowhere. Well, yeah. All right, we're doing plugs. All right. Oh yeah, Lucia's here. Right, I forgot it.
It's fine.
Yeah. Our first double guest, like twice in a row. So they historic.
Breaking records because of broken Wi-Fi. Yeah, my hair is dyed black currently.
According to Star Trek, I'm gonna be murdered because of my red shirt.
Oh yeah.
I'm screwed, dude. Yeah. I don't know, man. Was it the youngest serial killer ever, like 8? I re- serial in India. It was in India. Hold on. Yeah, wait. Yeah, no. This kid. His name. Yeah, he killed just kids in his village. The hell is Amardeep Sadar. So there you go. He was 8 years old. He could not. Even if we featured him on it, we could not. Which we do not feature him on it. I've checked it once. That's Brendan. That's totally Brendan. It's got to be Brendan. There you go. Oh, all right. We may have an issue. Lucia, can you help me with this? Can you pull up the stream on your phone or
I'm
some
on my
other
phone.
device? You're
So
on your
my
phone. Yeah.
computer.
Yeah. Pull it up on your computer. Yeah. For some reason, I can't hear Max, which is an issue because he talks the most.
It's loading. Hold on.
And there's a 30 seconds. Dude, we're getting sabotaged, you know?
Max, talk. No, there's nothing.
Yeah, I
This is
can hear
dead silence.
Lucia. She's like sniffling in the back. And of course, my buttery voice is. But Max, you got nothing going. We may have an issue. Lucia, can you?
Oh my gosh, that is very delayed.
Yeah, I can hear it. Dude, what is happening? We're getting hacked.
It's not called the
No,
mental
will this
breakdown
be
anymore.
the
It's called the
first
major
stream?
depressive episode. Fun fact. Yeah.
Will this be the first stream without Gravity Max? Do I just run the circus? No.
Do you want to try like a FaceTime call instead?
Well then, we want. Unless do you have OBS on your phone?
Okay. It bounces up and down with mic aux. Okay, I think I fixed it.
Did you?
Now you guys
Okay,
talk?
right. Yeah, boy.
Hello.
Now I talk. Okay, I think I fixed it. I think it's all good. It should
Okay,
be all good.
I have to stream up here.
Okay. Just make sure that like there's no problems. Oh my gosh. This is because I am not pleased with the quantity of things that aren't working today.
I feel like I'm cursed.
You're not cursed, because this started
No.
like before.
Yeah, okay, Max, we can hear you now. You're good.
Okay, good. Okay.
You're good.
Thank
Yeah, you did fix
the
it.
universe.
You got it.
Cool.
Say something to the kind people at home.
Thank you for watching this stream and bearing with us. Okay.
Wow, that's the saddest I've ever heard you get.
Because I went on a whole rant about everything the website had, and it didn't pick up any of it.
So
Go
website.
visit the website, please. Just
Check
look at
it
the
out.
website. And look at the social media. Links in the description. Okay, then we have Sebastian's social media, which is pretty cool. He's got some memes. He's got some educational videos that are 128 seconds long, and links in the description.
Hence the name.
Yeah. Okay, so
Right
then Truly Dead Rock. I mean, I will be very surprised if there is a person watching this stream that doesn't know about the book and hasn't made a decision on whether or not they want to buy it yet. However, buy the book. I mean, it's just kind of unnecessary at this point, it feels. Eventually, this will be switched out for, yeah, this guy. Bottled Up Flame. I made the announcement last week on the No Wi-Fi stream, but just in case you missed that, the title is officially a Bottled Up Flame, and I have not released the cover art yet. I have yet to make it. So, yeah, coming to Amazon November 1st. Okay, Psychology of Murder.
People kill people. Why do it be like that?
Yeah, why is it like
Let's figure that out.
Yeah, murder is generally considered, I think, one of the worst crimes in the legal system, in the repertoire of things that we
It's on par with ripping the tag off a mattress.
Okay, yeah, so pretty severe.
Wait a second, is that from a movie?
What?
It's an ongoing joke.
The ripping the tag off the...
No, I'm pretty sure that's from like a Mr. Pee-wee movie. Or Pee-wee...
Pee-wee Herman?
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I'm pretty sure that's a joke from there.
I don't know. I never watched that.
Mattress tags always say like
out. He's just a walking freaking marionette puppet type thing. Creepy as hell. And isn't he in jail? I think he went to jail.
Oh.
So
well,
not for murder.
Mattress tags always say don't remove tag.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think there was like a criminal in the movie, and Pee-wee was like, "What did you do?" And he's like, "I ripped the tag off one of those mattresses."
Nice.
Memories from childhood.
Anyways, so yeah, Psychology of Murder. That's what we're gonna talk about today.
People be stabbing, shooting, slamming into people with their cars.
Yeah, why do people do it? That's the question. Is it like anger, or is it like a biological, like evolutionary, like advantage? Like you got to think about these things. Like sometimes I think some of these serial killers, they just do it because they're like they get a sick pleasure out of it. So there are many different
That's
reasons.
called sadism.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So should we jump right into it, or
Like we should. We're going right into the history
history?
of murder.
Yeah. So throughout history, there have been there has been different there have been different reasons that people have committed murder.
There be different reasons.
Yeah. Oh, I am just not good today. Okay. So, this is like justification, kind of like not justified, but it's self-justification because generally people have empathy and sympathy, so they're like, maybe I shouldn't kill that person because I don't want to be killed. But uh, people have done it, and history is often like considered like violent, bloody history. So like, why is it like that? So it's like people go through some like mental gymnastics, and they like convince themselves that it's okay. So that's what we're gonna
It's me on a math test. It's mental gymnastics
mental
because I jumped to
gymnastics.
conclusions.
Miss
Jump,
Giuliani.
Yeah.
Julia.
Yeah, we're outing you on this stream, Miss G.
I don't know who that is.
Suits.
She's a
It's our
math.
math teacher.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. So I'm like, yeah. Oh, that's sad. I don't know the math teachers anymore. I don't know the math teachers that are fun to
My
reference.
God, dude, this is gonna be such an. Even though it's a murder stream, somehow
Uh-huh.
you're making murder stream more depressing. Way to go, dude. Way to
I am
be.
not having a good day.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, murder's a big part of culture. In some cultures, they did it, and I don't think we have this in here, but I just wanted to bring it up because it was in my head.
Mm.
The Aztecs, those guys
Oh
were like
yeah.
nuts. They would have the ritualistic sacrifice. So that's just an extreme example of like, well, I guess not extreme because they're all kind of in the ballpark of
Murder is
like
extreme. How extreme can you get within murder?
Well, the Aztecs,
exactly.
they would like rip out the still beating heart. So that's
And then
probably, I
yeah,
would
give
call
it
that pretty
to
extreme.
whoever.
That's pretty extreme, yeah.
Yeah, pretty extreme. On a
Yeah.
level of extremeness, I would rate that like,
But people were cool with it. Like everyone in the Aztecs, whether you were the sacrificer, sacrificee,
mhm.
like watcher,
Wasn't
Yeah.
it like an honor to be sacrificed or something like that?
yeah.
I'm not sure about that. I think it was just like it was like fear or something, but I don't know. We didn't research
I mean,
that
they
because
didn't do it one time, and that's when like the Spanish showed up. So,
oh
and nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
yeah. All right, all right. Let's get right into the first thing. So
Of the
knights and
Spanish.
soldiers. This is an interesting justification. So in medieval times, it was like war, and that's kind of just a more general justification. They're like fighting for their king on behalf of their king, so like that's why they're killing. Um, so it's kind of like there are a lot of what are called like absolute monarchs where they're like, we are rulers ordained by God Himself. And for God Himself, of course you're going to kill. Um, which is actually another slide we have on the Crusades. So this is kind of like that, but it's kind of like instead of uh, killing for religion, it's killing for a guy. And that guy is the king.
That dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there's obviously through history there's been lots of brutal wars and stuff, but what I find the most interesting is that as time went on, wars got more brutal as we got more civilized rather than the other way around,
Hmm.
rather than the other stuff. Because everyone, well, a lot of people, a lot of historians agree that World War One is like the most gruesome war, most brutal war that's ever been fought, like on the planet, and that's like crazy considering humans have been around for like 10,000 years, tens of thousands of years, or however long, that the most brutal war was in the past, like in the last 100 years or so, you know?
Yeah,
So it
and
just goes to show. And as my dog loses his mind, he definitely wants to kill. My dog's a killer.
yeah, well, that's really interesting actually because there has been sort of like a depersonalization of war over time, where if you were a knight or a soldier, like you were looking into the eyes of the person that you were about to kill. But now you're like, across a trench, or like for World War I, right? You're across a trench and you're just shooting boomsticks, and
But in
now,
World War II, wasn't it that the reason that they had all those death camps is to make it more tolerable and palatable to kill all those people for the soldiers?
Yeah,
yeah,
because the German
they
soldiers
were
were all
getting,
getting
yeah, they
PTSD.
were getting PTSD.
Yeah.
But like even more recent times, like it's getting even worse. Like if you think of like drone strikes and stuff, like you don't even have to be in
You
the
can just sit behind a
vicinity.
computer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can just like beep boop, you know. Um,
Max just obliterated an entire town with
yeah,
beep.
with beep boop. I didn't even actually press any of the keys. I just brushed my hand across them.
He
Um,
presses the delete key.
oh,
Gone.
delete. Um,
France has been deleted.
yeah. So anyway, so psychologically, I don't know. I don't understand this one psychologically because
Well,
like I get the depersonalization, like it makes sense, but like these how are they like so willing to kill in like such
because
close personal
I'll tell you,
quarters?
I'll tell you. I got the deets. I got the information.
He's got the information.
Specifically, like we have a Roman guy right here, and in the time of Rome and like ancient Rome, ancient Greece, people would argue that those were the best soldiers like ever. Like there were tales of Achilles and whether he was real or not, and there were, like crazy soldiers. The Vikings also had some crazy ass guys, but all those three things, Greece, Rome, and the Vikings, they all, since birth, they were trained to like fight, like Vikings. The thing, like, you look at any historical uh recollection of any battle with the Vikings, and every like outsider's recounting of it is just like, the Vikings are nuts. They just hurl themselves at us with no fear of death. There was that one Viking guy who like beheaded like 7 people with one sword swing, just absolutely decapitated them. But even in like Sparta, if you had like a defect, they would yeet you over a cliff as like a 3-year-old, and they were trained since birth to be a soldier. So if when you're trained since birth to do something, you just do it, no matter
Yeah.
how, whatever the hell you feel about it, because you're taught to feel one way, You're just like,
your hatred outweighs your empathy, I guess. Because you're taught to hate your
but
target.
it's also
so if
just
you hate
the
something
way
enough.
that it was.
Mm.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. But it's also just the way that it was. Like everyone, like times of ancient Rome, ancient Greece, this is how you settled stuff. You dragged a guy out into the street and you started a knife fight, and like countries would just send like hundreds and thousands of men at each other. So that's just how it
Yeah.
was.
I suppose another aspect might be the devaluing of life in general, even your own, because a lot of it was like
Yeah.
fight with honor, like die with honor and like glory and stuff. So
like in Japan during World War II, they had the
Yeah.
like Bushido code,
Mm.
where you would rather die for your country, even if you were a civilian, than surrender or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And I'm at like the chivalry code, which doesn't mean the same thing anymore, but it used to just be like, knights,
chivalry is dead.
Yeah. Well, now it means like, now it means like how to treat
Open the
women
door for
on
a
a
woman.
date. Yeah, but it
Yeah.
used to be like how to be an honorable soldier, I guess. Well, it used to be about horses. The word is messed up. The word doesn't make sense anymore. But um they're like they had a similar honor code in like the medieval era.
Yeah.
So it's like if you
Like,
value honor and having like a good death, then it's like it doesn't matter if you kill someone else um because like you're not really concerned if you get killed either.
Like only the mighty warriors went to Valhalla or whatever.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a different system.
Yeah,
And
and that
it's
was the
like
thing. Yeah, like
yeah.
even with the Vikings, if you died of old age, you didn't go to Valhalla. You didn't go to heaven. You went to hell.
If you died in battle, that's when you would go to Valhalla.
That's
So
the
people would do
only
it
way.
for glory, for honor, for like life
Yeah.
after death. It was just I guess what you did at the time if you wanted to go to heaven.
Yeah, that's what I was
The
about.
only way you could get to heaven is to die in battle. Like nothing else. If you died of disease, if you like just if like your wife just ended up killing you, like you don't go.
Like
You don't
that's
go
for you. Rest in peace. But
yeah.
Yeah, that's I was about to bring that up too. Like with a lot of Europe, because we're talking about like knights and stuff. Like with Christianity, there's like a belief in the afterlife, so there's no real like stakes. Like you don't, because if you die, then you're just gonna go to the afterlife. So it's like
Yeah.
you're not too you couldn't be bothered, not too concerned. Um, so I guess so it's a
Yeah.
complicated psychological thing, but
And yeah,
there's
similarly,
yeah
we have the Crusades. And because they're kind of tied together, I just want to
yeah
bang them both out.
there we go Crusade.
So, yeah, the Crusades are basically the same thing. Like people say that war is fought for two reasons: land, and the other one is religion.
Yeah.
So again,
Just repeat what you were saying. That's all.
all right, yeah. So again, when you're taught since birth to think in a certain way, that's how you're going to be, and especially if it's brainwashed into your culture, if it's just everything you see is that way, that's how you're going to be, you know. So with the Crusades, obviously they were taught to think that they need to reclaim the Holy Land, and that it was stolen by like infidels or whatever the Catholic equivalent is, you know. So um they were taught that. They even thought that like Jews and everyone that wasn't part of their religion was below them, were subhumans, and that's a big part of rationalization. You see that from the Crusades to the Holocaust is we can kill them because they're not human, because they're below us. That's one of the most common ways of rationalizing it in your head,
Yeah.
uh,
Also, something interesting about this picture. You know this. You remember this picture, right, Sebastian? This is from a church. It dresses up as a crusader. Oh, how cute.
it was
Uh,
so messed up.
so I just looked up like the Crusades. So I in Google Images. So I was just getting this picture. So I copy pasted this picture, and then I actually looked at the picture's like website, and I'm like, wait, this is like a parody, right? I don't think so. No, not a parody.
Nope.
Um,
I would not take part in Crusade Day.
yeah, I would. Yeah, the Crusade Day. I would not take part in Crusade Day.
Lucia,
Um,
would you take part in Crusade Day?
no,
No, you're not
I'll
about
pass.
it.
Gravity Max live stream does not endorse Crusade Day. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of like the whole religious thing is instead of like listening to a king, which is like a great moral authority, it's like it's the moral authority, it's God. So and it was also a lot of like with the Crusades, I think the Pope, like Pope Urban or whichever Pope it was, I'm probably offending a ton of history people that know history, but whoever was the Pope was like if you go and fight in these
Yeah.
crusades, then you will go to heaven. Like regardless, like you could have like killed a family of three, like you could have had immensely immoral things in your past, but as long as you participate in this war, then you will go to heaven. Which is like, you know, not a very It's like weird. So, but since that was like that's your moral authority, that's the Pope, you know, like if the Pope tells you something, um, like who else are you going to listen to? He's the ultimate moral authority in this time period. So that's kind of like why this happened. It's sort of like a not questioning authority, believing in the power of this authority because it's like a divine power. So, yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, that's the Crusades, and then also this is just kind of like holy wars in general. That's so it's like the divine power, because there are still like conceptions of like holy wars that like go on even to this day. There are like isolated like radical groups that are like we're fighting a holy war. So this is a similar justification to more modern phenomenon.
Yeah. So next up, we've got some people use Clorox, some people use Lysol, some people ethnic cleanse.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
That
I
could
don't know.
have
I'm
been
having that in
phrased
my head. I gotta
way
say.
differently.
Hmm?
Could have been phrased a little
yeah,
differently.
yeah, no. Anyways, so this is, this is like
It's not
this,
good. I should throw that out there. It's not good.
yeah. This
So I
justification.
could go to college.
Well, it's interesting how this works. I mean, as recently as like I think 1994 in like Rwanda, like genocides, or according to the UN, acts of genocide. It didn't count as an actual genocide according to the UN, um, because the UN messed up on that one. But yeah, so this whole this concept is basically just like people don't believe that this group is human. It's pretty much just
Yeah.
extreme racism. Like to the point where it's just like, yeah. I mean, I don't know how to explain it really.
Well, yeah,
Killing
no,
people
it's
because you hate them because of their race.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
pretty much it.
it's going into just like you said, the dehumanization of people, but to like an extreme degree,
Yeah.
you know. And but another um thing about it is that it's usually done not truly because they like hate that race, but it's usually done for an ulterior motive. You
Uh-huh.
know, it's if, for example, I believe what's going on in like which one had the ethnic cleansing? Which country was that in? Like Indonesia, or was it like with the Rohingya? Which country is that?
Wait, when you mean 1994 Rwanda or
No, no, not in Myanmar. Yeah. So like yeah, right now.
Myanmar. Wait, wasn't that Burma?
yeah,
It's the
formerly
same
Burma.
country.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They
But
changed their name.
yeah,
to
so
try and change their image, I imagine.
they're getting the Rohingya, or however you pronounce it. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. They're getting they're the ones getting genocided, right? They're not doing the genociding.
I'm not aware of this.
Yeah, hold on. But
I'm not.
either way, it's for like political reasons. You know, like there's tensions because of Burma's position on the map.
Hmm.
It's right. It's right next to India and Bangladesh, right? And that's a tense area because the British were just like, we're gonna make this West Pakistan
Yeah.
and this East Pakistan. So there's already India versus Pakistan going on and that's more religiously charged. But over here in Burma, there's like a lot of stuff going on. But a big reason for the genocide is because of like political things, because they have different political ideologies. So certain leaders can't rise to power because they have such an influence. So they're trying to get rid of them, you know.
Mm.
And it's like, it's bad. It's one of the worst things ever because we're talking about murder, and later on we're going to talk about stuff that's like just a serial killers that killed like 5, 6, 20 people. Like, I don't know what the death toll for this is, but it's it's pretty bad, and it's in the hundreds of thousands. And obviously, like, the Holocaust is the most infamous ethnic cleansing, and millions of people died in that. And
yeah, and that's millions. The most prolific serial killer was named Harold Shipman, and he has 218 proven murders, or possibly as many as 250. But that's still nothing in comparison to millions.
Yeah.
And
it's still
that's
a
the thing.
lot. Like, don't get me wrong, that's an insane amount of people for one person to kill, but it just doesn't compare.
This
Yeah.
is just so much more dangerous because it's carried out by an institution. It's carried out by government. Like it's carried out by like a whole like society.
It's like a mob mentality, I
Yeah,
guess. From that one episode of The Twilight Zone. I don't know if you guys ever watched that, where the
shout out to
from
8th
Dr.
grade
Dice
social
class.
studies. Yeah.
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 And the scapegoat. Yeah. So,
But yeah, no, it's interesting because the reason that we all study the Holocaust is obviously so we don't do that, so that we're educated about it, and so
yeah, those who do
we
not learn history
are doomed to repeat.
Doomed to repeat it. Yeah.
My
But
favorite
the
thing is to only say
that
the first half of a famous quote. That's what I was doing right there. I just said the first half.
Oh well, I finished it because
And then I let the audience assume the rest of the famous quote, because then you're less likely to accidentally get the quote wrong if you just say the first half.
there you go.
I don't know.
It's very true.
Yeah.
If you're in Rome.
No, it's when.
I think you
when
got
in
that
Rome.
wrong. When in Rome. Yeah.
One of the reasons that we study the Holocaust is because it's so different than every other ethnic cleansing like on the planet because of how A, systematic it was, and B, what the motives behind it were. Because like Hitler was not a fan of like Jews or like
because he thought they were ruining the government.
Yeah. But that's rooted in like ideological stuff. Whereas you see other stuff happening for purely like political reasons, like Hitler really did truly hate them. I mean, like if you read Mein Kampf or if you like watch any documentary on him, it's what he's doing, It's how he thinks, and it's obviously like he's the most evil man in history, and it's because he carried out such like disgusting acts and crimes against humanity. But again, how he rationalized it was that they're not humans. Like he had his entire tier list of humans that he taught in schools. He made them think in schools, and that's going back to the brainwashing of like the Crusades and stuff, because he's trying to train his entire country to think how he thinks. Because not everyone in Germany was a Nazi. A lot, like not a majority, but a significant amount of people that died in the Holocaust were Germans. So he had to educate his country so that people would think like educate. But Jews were at the bottom, like Africans bottom,
Russians.
So when you do that, it's like it's rationalizing it,
And I mean, like, and if you weren't a Nazi at the time, you were gonna get killed.
Yeah.
So I guess you had to a lot of the time you were rationalizing the killings because you knew it was them or you.
So yeah, it was a terrible, terrible time in history, but unfortunately, it's still going on today. Like ethnic cleansing happens today. Like the Burma stuff, I think it might have been 2017, but I still think it's kind of going on today. Like it might have peaked in 2017, but still not good, And there's rival tribes in Africa that love ethnic cleansing their populations a ton. That's terrible. And just a whole load of stuff that is just not good.
Yeah, and it's like so often it ends up going unpunished. Like with the whole Rwanda thing, like that could have been prevented. I read this whole book on it for my social studies
The
class
U.S.
over the
sent
summer.
4 dudes, right? That was when they sent 4 guys.
Well, I mean, they sent like a few hundred people, but like they sent a few hundred peacekeeping troops. And the leader kept saying, "We need more guys. We need more guys. Like this isn't enough. Things are really messed up here. Like it's getting to a boiling point. Like we need help." And then the UN's like, "Nah." They actually ended up cutting the amount of
We
troops
do
they
have
had
some
there.
chat.
Oh, we have some chat. Oh, futurology. Futurology. Okay. Starting at the beginning, KCC says psychology of murder. Fancy. Futurology says, "What's up, guys? Futurology.
We're talking about murder.
Yeah, I'm not feeling
Yeah.
too good. I'm not feeling too good today. Futurology. My computer broke. You could see.
I'm feeling great. I broke
Did
some
the
kid's
Max,
computer.
this
He's
is an
still
important
crying about
question.
it.
Max, this is crucial. Did the
Yes.
computer have a name? And if so, if not, give one.
The computer did not have a name.
Oh. Well, that makes it easier to put down.
Okay. Yeah. Not as much of heartbreak. You never name it.
Yeah. My computer's name is Claptrap, by the way.
That's an interesting name.
My computer's name is Harold.
Oh, that's also an interesting name. I don't know. Do you want me to? There's one answer screaming in my mind right now.
Yes.
Mac.
Oh.
That's a name.
I kind of like it, honestly.
Yes, I'm glad. That is zero creativity name right there.
I thought you were gonna name it after something in your universe. In
Name it Aster Zero.
Whatever the hell you call
or
it.
Aster 1.
Yeah. Aster
Name it
1.
Aster
I thought you were gonna say I'm gonna call my computer Aster 1.
Nah, he'll be Aster 0. The next one will be Aster 1.
There will be another.
Got to start counting at 0. Yeah, Futurology says, "Oh, that's a shame. Hope you feel better soon, Max." Thank you, Futurology. Thank you for your condolences.
God, I love Futurology. Subscribe to Futurology if you haven't.
I will probably feel better soon. I mean, you see, because the thing is, we're not sure if it's like 100% broken, because it's called the black screen of death with MacBooks, and like I haven't been able to fix it. And so we would want to go to an Apple store to see like, oh, can you get it fixed, or do you need a new one? But like we don't really want to go to an Apple store. I'm not sure if they're even open yet, but like, we don't want to catch the coronavirus. So we're not going to the MacBook store, the Apple store. And yeah, they sell more than just MacBooks. But like
I heard they're a pretty
theoretically,
big company.
if we knew they were 100, if we knew this computer was 100% dead, then I guess we could theoretically just order a new one. But we don't, so like we don't want to like order something and then like realize then he just pops back up and he's just all better tomorrow. But it has bummed me out. Anyways, and this episode is further bumming me out. I don't know why we did this episode. I don't know.
Well, because you ever see the Disney thing, like before really racist cartoons, because they like do reruns of stuff, and Disney used to have some like super racist cartoons.
Ooh, I've seen some of those where it's like you paint the blackface on and it's like with tar or whatever you want to call it, and it's like
stuff like that, or Daffy Duck like hailing Hitler, like all that stuff, because Walt Disney hated Jews,
Walt Disney and Dr. Seuss were both relatively terrible people.
Yeah, that's true.
But thing was that now when they replay that, they have a disclaimer in the beginning, and one of the sentences from that disclaimer is to like not address it would be the same as saying that it never like happened, so they're saying that we play these so you could see what the culture was like and what we messed up on in the past, so we can learn from it. So I feel like that's kind of what we're doing here today, and I think everyone should have the general notion that they probably shouldn't start a Holocaust or ethnic cleansing or kill someone, or go on a crusade for whatever god, but that's one of the reasons why they teach us history in school. So we understand A, how they thought back then, B, how that's wrong, and C, so that we can think for ourselves, because a lot of this is being told by someone else. If if Hitler was just like one guy and he wasn't like the chancellor, the Fuhrer of Germany, then he wouldn't have got anywhere. But it was because of that time period and because of the racism against Jewish people and like gypsies and well, I don't know if you can call them gypsies anymore. But
Yeah, I feel like you probably shouldn't.
yeah,
I think
they're
it's Roma.
Romani people. Yeah, all that.
Yeah.
So
And gay people,
gay people and disabled people
communists.
and communists,
Gotta save those.
they
Yeah.
like the general thought at the time was those people are not human, and Hitler just banked on that. He was like, hey, I can use that, and he did use that, and he was able to come to power. He was able to rule an entire country because of the racism of the time period, you know. And that's why they teach us that in school, so that doesn't really happen again. How someone doesn't go into power just because of like racist ideologies or because of an incorrect, uneducated thought process that hasn't properly been addressed and disproved.
Yeah.
So that's what I say. The message has been passed on.
Thank you. That was very insightful. Yeah.
You know how they say, if you're in Rome,
No one says that. That should become a quote now. If you're in Rome. That's the quote. I'm gonna make a Wikia, you know those Wikias, the fandom Wikias. I'm gonna make one for Sebastian, and you know how they always put a notable quote at the top? The notable quote is going to be, if you're in Rome.
Well, I guess, you know, I wanted to make my bed, so
Mm-hmm.
now I have to sleep in it.
All right.
That's not the correct quote.
I know. Should I go to the next slide?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, next up, smaller than
Yeah.
ethnic cleansing or genocide or anything.
But also something that is done by a government. But like, yeah, less scale.
Ooh.
That's the common thread.
There you go. Yeah. Here, I gotta restart my Wi-Fi real quick, but go ahead. Take this.
Yeah. So capital punishment is, it's controversial. People pronounce that word different ways. Guess it's controversial. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. So, this is when someone's crimes have been deemed so heinous that they must die for it. They must pay with their lives.
Fun fact: this is often given to serial killers.
Yeah. So
people who kill people.
Yeah.
Get killed.
Yeah. So it's the murder of murderers generally. That's the modern form of it. Of course, in the past, it would include anything from like traitors, and then like, you know, the hangings pretty much, witches, and I'm using heavy air quotes there.
Hey man, have you seen any witches lately? I think it worked.
Have you seen any? Okay. But yeah, so this in modern times is generally just used on people that have killed other people like themselves. So it's only used on people that have taken other people's lives. But in the past, it was more liberally used. Yeah. So I guess either side of the debate, it's like good that it's not used as much now, I would say. Because a lot of people that had this like definitely did not deserve it in the past. But now it's a controversy because it's like, should a mass murderer, like if you kill a ton of people, then you kind of lose the right to like the respect of life. You know, like if you disrespect other people's rights to life, then you forfeit your own right to life. That's the argument for why capital punishment should be kept. But then counter arguments could be like, isn't it like there have been estimates that like up to 4% of death row inmates are actually innocent or something like that? Have you seen that statistic? I don't know if I'm getting the statistic right, but I've seen
I've
that.
seen something similar, but I can't remember what it actually is, so I
Mhm.
would believe you.
But yeah, I mean, if you think of no system can be 100% correct, so there must be some innocent people that have ended up on death row. So maybe we should remove capital punishment, so that, kind of the dictum of like rather let 100 guilty people go,
At least
or sorry, 10.
4%. At
Oh
least
wow.
4% of people on death row were and are likely innocent.
So there you go. But it's kind of like the dictum if rather let 10 guilty criminals go free than put one
Well, they're
innocent
not gonna
person.
go free. They have life in prison.
Well, yeah,
So
no,
it's
no,
like the deaths almost seems unnecessary because it's then being like
Yeah.
you killed someone and that was bad, so we're gonna kill you, but it's good? Question
yeah.
mark.
The
I
way
wasn't
I
saying
see
go
it,
free. I just mean that's a quote. That's like it's the foundation. It's one of the foundations of U.S. law. It's the innocent until proven guilty. That's
Yeah. but the way I see it is that they're two separate issues. Like one is the issue of is it moral to give someone the death penalty, and the other one is does our justice system work? So I see them as two completely different issues.
okay.
The justice system doesn't work though. It's been proven not to work. Like it's been proven to be very, very prejudiced, hasn't it?
Well, yeah. Well, in the past, it's been super racist, and there's some stuff still like that today.
And it's the people who are being let out aren't actually being reformed.
Hmm.
They're
Yeah.
just being held for
Yeah.
like a period of time. It's like waiting in a video game. If you click the wait button and you just
Yeah.
wait and
But
wait,
it acts
wait,
as a
wait.
deterrent. That's the thing. It's like you don't want to lose 5 years of your life sitting in some hot ass box.
But it should be a reformatory system where you try and give these people lives after prison, because
Yeah.
if you don't give them a life after prison, they're gonna come back to prison.
Yeah, and that's an entire other debate.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah, with capital punishment,
yeah.
I guess the way you could look at it, I mean, how many executions are there really per year? I can't imagine there's much.
I could find that statistic.
Like,
You ever watch the Joe Rogan podcast?
I have watched. I actually yesterday I watched episode 1470 with Elon Musk.
Yeah, and he's always like he always turns to Jamie and he's like, "Hey Jamie, pull
Jamie,
that up."
yeah,
I'm
pull that up.
Jamie.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
let me see that out for you.
Yeah. So, let's see. What was I saying? Oh yeah, but however many there are, right? I feel like maybe it would be best to just not do it anymore, and just do life in prison because it's such a it's such a contentious issue for the amount of people that I think are probably being punished with capital punishment, right? Like, let's see, like how many.
All right. I'm finding statistics from 2017 and from 2018.
That's fine. That's fine.
So it might be slightly dated.
I mean,
But
that's fine.
let me.
It's only, oh, since 19. Now I have to do math. 1500
So yeah, 1500.
since 1976.
Yes, and
Okay.
that statistic is from 2018.
So
That's
40 years.
42, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I was just, rounding to the nearest 10. So that's like, yeah, that's like 3 dozen people a year. For the amount that I hear this debated, like capital punishment, it just seems like, yeah, it just
Another
seems.
point is that it actually has decreased because
Oh, okay.
said that the average would be like 36 per year.
Yeah, but it's probably
There
like,
was
as of recently,
exactly
it's
there was
probably.
only 23 in 2017
Okay.
and only 25 in 2018. So
Yeah, so for the amount that people debate this, maybe we should just resolve the issue and just err on the side of caution and say, you know what? Let's just not do capital punishment anymore because like I hear an argument of like, well, like life in prison, like there is like the same thing, and I'm like, I don't know. It just kind of seems like it seems finicky, you know. I don't know how justified it really is. Because like think
It
about
also
how.
has to be hard for the people who have to actually kill them.
Yeah,
Because
it
don't
just
they, when it's lethal injection, don't they have 2 doctors, one with the serum and one without, so that they don't know who actually killed him?
oh really?
Yeah,
I think so, so they
wait.
don't actually have to worry about it. Because I
Yeah,
feel
no,
like that
there's
would
this
weigh on you.
whole culture about it. You know, like when the judge like signs off on someone and saying that I'm going to give this person the death penalty, they take the pen they write it with and they break the nib off of it so that they can't use the pen ever again. You know, it is this crazy culture
Because
about
people
it.
feel so guilty for doing
Yeah,
it
exactly.
that they have to rationalize it and find ways to do it
Yeah.
in a way that won't
Yeah, we're
give
back to
people.
rationalization.
Mm.
So, like in my mind, all I can think of is the freaking meme where it's like, "I support the death penalty, Josh." You know, like the
Oh.
Have you seen that? I'll bring it up.
Well,
bring it
anyways, it just I don't know. We don't usually get political on the Gravity Max live stream, but I would probably say we should probably stop doing this.
Well, as long as we don't yell at someone and be like, "You need to think
Yeah.
how we think," I think we're
Yeah.
fine. So we
Yeah.
can discuss different viewpoints.
Yeah, we've presented both sides of the argument. You know, like if you take someone's life, if you disrespect their right to life, then you forfeited your own. We've offered that. But personally, I just think that if 23 people per year are just put in life in prison rather than capital punishment, I think that would probably be
Is there
better.
any difference though? Is there really any difference when
Well,
you
think
get
of the
down to it?
emotional trauma of judges, the doctors, I mean, anyone else involved, right?
Hit present and present again.
All right, all right.
This is the meme I'm thinking of, and then
Okay.
I'll get rid of it.
Oh my gosh.
I
What?
got rid of it.
All right, all right. Um,
But yeah, no,
but yeah. Well, the difference is
it's
that well, yeah, I don't know how they get doctors to do that, because aren't doctors supposed to take the oath and like the do no harm?
I guess it's an
Yeah,
exception.
oh, that's a good point.
Like, how is that not do no? Like, how is that not harm? Like, I mean, I understand like the greater good of society or whatever, um, but I don't think that applies to doctors, the greater good of society. I think it's like no, on any patient, do no harm. Um, I don't know. This is a contentious issue, controversial. Um,
I can talk about it over in 128 seconds.
he good, he good. But yeah.
But yeah, no, me personally, I see no difference between giving someone the death penalty and putting someone into life in prison.
Well, I
Because
suppose
prison sounds more miserable than death, to be completely honest.
well, I think life in prison offers the opportunity for someone to prove their innocence. Like if they were
No,
wrongly.
I don't think you can, I don't think you would be able to have the death penalty if you hadn't had all your appeals yet.
But
Yeah,
again,
but like, what if new
it's not
information
that
comes to
common. It's way less common than we think it is. Yeah, like there's
Yeah.
people on death row, but again, there's only been 1,500 people, and like a little more because that was 2 years old. There's only been around 1,500 people who've ever gotten the death penalty in the United States.
Yeah, I think this. Well, since 1976. So.
Since 19. Well, what the hell was going on before 1976?
Well, I mean, you know, Salem witch trials. Like, I think in like
True,
if
The
you've read
Salem
it.
witch trials were not in the 1960s.
Well, they were
but they were
before
before
19. It's still before.
1976.
I could have said freaking the Big Bang. No, but also
Smash Onk's head with rock.
also
Penalty.
this is a very random example, but when I was reading To Kill a Mockingbird in 8th grade, like rape
Miss
in
Kim's era.
Alabama had the death penalty.
Yeah.
So, you know, that. There you go. That's some instances. But yeah, I think this sort of this subject takes up a surprising amount of like the cultural, political, you know, whatever, like zeitgeist, I guess. It carries a lot more of the discussion than I would think it would, since it's like the amount of people that have, you know, that are sentenced to death. But yeah, I would probably say this shouldn't really be done. I would call it immoral. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Because
no, I'm glad we're presenting both, sides of it.
yeah, and again, this is
because-
just my opinion. This is just my opinion. I presented the other side. We're just discussing, take the facts. I don't want to be biased because I know that this is considered political. But that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
we got
So yeah, justification for this. I mean, I guess that's what I would say with the you forfeit your right to life if you take someone else's. That's probably the justification of it, of the government. Some people also say like if they're just gonna be put in life in prison, then they're just gonna be on the system or whatever. Which that's just a money thing, and that doesn't seem like a very good justification.
Yeah, you can't be like, we're gonna kill them because we need the money. Like that's what a murderer says.
Yeah,
that no.
yeah.
But
The
anyways, we should
justification for this, I
probably
think.
move on.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
and
Okay.
I think my mom wants to eat sushi for Mother's Day dinner at 7:30.
Oh,
So-
okay. Okay, sorry. We will speed up.
No, it's good. So it's all good because that was a good discussion right there, and not
yeah, that was a
everything's
good discussion. Yes, the next topic we have is acts of terror, and well, let's
not
see.
good.
Yeah, not
I have
good.
a lot.
So some of these acts of terror, there are kind of like two types, I think. I don't know, there might be more. Well, there's like the religiously motivated ones and the non-religiously motivated ones is what I'm gonna say. My designations for right now. The religiously motivated ones can have similar like see the Crusades part, what we talked about during the Crusades part. Acts of terror that are religiously motivated are, it's the same sort of thing with the divine power commanding you to do this, right? So, yeah.
Cleanse everyone who's not part of your religion, who's not following the word that you're following.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
So the picture we have of the September 11th attacks, that would kind of fall under this designation as religiously motivated. But instead of the Crusades...
Are you sure? Were they not? Were they religious or were they political?
I thought it was religious, Al-Qaeda.
They were religiously motivated. Al-Qaeda was a religiously motivated terrorist sector.
But didn't they also make attacks on the government in the country they were in that could have been Iraq or Afghanistan? I forgot already.
They were radical
Islam?
Muslims, and Islamists.
I think, the technical definition of terrorism is acts of violence to further a political goal, but often it's a political and a religious goal. So whereas the Crusades were, they were kind of like a justification with Christianity, September 11th was justification with Islam. So it's kind of, it's pretty much, the same thing we were talking about before with the higher power and blah, blah, blah. So, so that's
I have a good political example.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's hear it. So the non-religiously motivated ones.
Oh yeah, non-religious. I was forced to read Overthrow by whoever the hell. If you really want, just type Google up Overthrow book. You can see who it's from. You can buy it on Amazon for however much. But
What's it about?
It talks all about how the U.S. through the Cold War and other parts, they like to swap out leaders of different countries. They like to do the Indiana Jones. So that's why it's called Overthrow. So one of the craziest examples of this, and I had no idea this even happened, and I'm probably going to make 128 seconds about it. We, in 1953, under the administration of Eisenhower, we overthrew Mohammad Mossadegh, I think is how you pronounce it, of Iran. He was the prime minister of Iran. And we didn't want him in power. There's an entire slew of reasons why we didn't want him in power. Like
I think it was he nationalized their oil company, and then British oil.
Exactly.
They lost
Believe
money.
it or not, it was actually Britain. Britain made the entire plan, and they sent it to the U.S. And the U.S. was like, "Are they commies?" And like the Britain was like, "Sure," and
like we can't lose money.
We're in, So that's pretty much what happened. Britain came up with this intense plan. Mossadegh actually found out about it, so Britain had to back off, and they were like, "Hey, big boy," and the U.S. was like, "What's fine?" And they were just like, "They might be communist over there," and that's how they got the U.S. into it. But what's crazy?
It's all it takes. It's all it takes.
It's all it takes.
Yeah.
But what's crazy? You know what's absolutely insane? The most mind-boggling part about it, and this is the reason I'm gonna make a video on this, is that it was largely motivated by the Secretary of State at the time, John Foster Dulles, right? John Foster Dulles was, a true red American. He hated, commies and all that. But he largely motivated the entire overthrow, right? But he picked one guy to do stuff in Iran to make Iranian people hate Mossadegh, so it was easier to overthrow him. That guy was Kermit Roosevelt, who is Teddy Roosevelt, my favorite president, is his grandson.
Oh,
And
wow.
I kid you not, in like 4 days, he was able to pretty much like do all these things to turn the entire country against him. He worked so efficiently, and he was crazy. He bribed political officials, he bribed religious leaders, he bribed like all these different kinds of people to publicly denounce Mossadegh. They called him a communist because Iran didn't really like communists either, but the U.S. didn't pay attention to that. It just went right over their heads. But the thing was that initial thing didn't work, so Kermit had to step it up a bit. And what he did is he paid off all these guys, and he made them like go out into the street and like just shoot people, screaming, glory to Mossadegh, making it seem like Mossadegh had ordered these acts of terror, when in reality it was Kermit Roosevelt.
Wow.
That's a politically motivated act.
Yeah.
And a
There's also
great
acts of terror
plug
that are
for my video.
There's also acts of terror that are motivated by like economics, because a lot of these countries have really, really poor economics and they don't have a lot of job opportunities. So all of these young men are going into these terrorist groups because they don't have any other opportunities in life. So if other governments or the government were to boost their economies and give more jobs to these people, there would be less terror, because there'd be less of a reason to commit terror, because they would have something to live for.
Yeah, and there's like also if we look at like domestic terror, that's often people that like they've like don't have any like reason that they want to like keep on going, like that they want to keep living. So then
it's a last ditch effort. So if you give these people, especially in these poor countries, reasons to actually like go through life, they won't start blowing life up,
Yeah, it's so strange.
That's why the war on terror is so stupid.
Yeah. But speaking of blowing life up, next up, we have weapons of mass destruction. I heard that and I was like, that's a good segue.
Yeah.
But
well, let's let
you're
Lucia.
Exactly right. Like, terrorism is some of the worst, because, the name itself, it's an act to create terror.
Yeah.
And that's, makes people feel unsafe. It is unsafe. Terrorism is dangerous and not condoned by the Gravity Max live stream. But, it creates an unsafe environment, and, it reinforces stereotypes. Because, one of the stereotypes about Muslims or people of the Islamic faith is that they're prone to radicalization and terrorism, when in reality, like, less than 0.0001% of them are actually terrorists, but they're the loudest ones.
Yeah.
So that's what you look at.
Yeah, and like any religion is kind of subject to this, like the Crusades happened, like
exactly. And it's like,
but no one villainizes Christians, really. That's not true. Some people do.
Some
but
people,
like
every
in general,
90s kid, every teen,
every 90s kid,
everyone with dyed hair.
No one widely denounces Christianity like they do other religions.
That's true.
Even though Christians have done some very terrible things over the years, including destroying so many just small pagan religions all over the world. And like, again, the Crusades, Christianity has done things that people don't denounce them for, but they denounce other religions for the same acts.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that.
Except for, Gen Z and millennials, they will denounce Christianity.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But yeah. So
Yeah.
another hot topic:
Ugh,
weapons of mass destruction. Sorry.
yes. So we have two pictures here. We have one that's
I gotta
like,
quit.
the
I'm
nuclear bomb.
never gonna get to college.
What?
No, keep going.
Okay. The second picture is the Death Note from the anime Death Note, and I put that in because there's a line near the end of the show where Nier says, "The Death Note. This is the most dangerous, the most deadly weapon of mass destruction in history." Um, so I just kind of thought of that line when I put in weapons of mass
How many
destruction.
people
So
did
I'm
the
like,
Death
I'm
Note
gonna put
kill?
this in. What?
How many people did the Death Note kill?
Oh, I think Matt Pat said it was
Yeah, I
like,
know, I know. Hold
I think he said like a few 100,000. Um,
on.
Basically, for those unaware, and if you're unaware, I am truly sorry, because you are missing out. Um,
How many times? How many did you say Matt Pat got?
he got like a few 100,000, I think he said. Um,
Yeah,
Death Note.
officially
Oh yeah. Oh,
it was.
officially,
Yeah,
there's an
apparently there's
official
like an
count.
alternate ending of the Death Note
Oh,
series where Light says that, and like Ryu says all these crazy things. I don't want to give spoilers, but I'll
oh
tell you
no, wait,
this
wait, wait. But
after it's finished.
the alternate ending, Light like lives, and then he eventually like dies of old age. So there would be a lot more deaths than what actually occurred.
It's true. That is true. But he
Um,
gives a pretty large number, so we could say it's not anywhere near the big image in the center, the
oh
number
yeah,
of deaths caused by that. But
yeah,
still, how many does it? How much does it take? How much destruction quantifies it to be a weapon of
a
mass
weapon of
destruction?
mass. I think. To be a weapon of mass. Well, maybe it's a weapon of mass destruction because it's nuclear, so it's turning mass into energy. So it's destroying mass. Maybe
Ooh.
that's like specifically why it's a weapon of mass destruction. No, I'm just kidding.
The official definition and how it's classified is a weapon of mass destruction, or WMD, is a nuclear, radiological, chemical, biological, or any other weapon that can kill and bring significant harm to numerous humans or cause great damage to human-made structures, natural
Okay.
structures, or the biosphere. That's
Oh.
interesting
So then I
because
guess
if you
technically
just
the Death Note wouldn't be a weapon of mass destruction because
no, it would be.
it doesn't destroy infrastructure though.
it doesn't have to be
It said
all of them
or
at once.
Oh, it was
or.
ore. Okay. Sorry. I have beclowned myself. Call back. I said that word a while ago.
Clown.
Beclowned. Beclowned.
But yeah, so obviously when you see this, that's Fat Man or
Mhm.
Little Boy, whichever one.
Whatever. Yeah.
Um, both not good.
Yeah.
Um, they were the nukes that we dropped on Japan to
Hmm.
end World War II. Massive debate about whether that's good or not, which we're not going to get into.
We can
And
That
get
would
into
be bad.
hmm,
That would be bad. We'd be here for like ever.
yeah,
Well, basically there's two sides to the
yeah, we can
argument
present.
because we're talking about the psychology here. So here's
Yeah,
like the justification. It's like um it was that Japan was not surrendering during like nearing the end of World War II, because as we said, there was like the seppuku code of like,
Bushido.
the
oh,
Bushido
Bushido. Sorry.
Code.
I know
Seppuku.
seppuku is when it's the
It's the
suicide.
ritualistic suicide.
Okay.
Yeah.
But basically that there was the mindset in Japan, that like you had to serve your country like to the end. Um,
Yep.
so based on that, the US was like, if we launch a ground invasion, there will likely be like a million deaths. And like, yeah, so instead they dropped the nuclear bombs, so that no like soldiers had to die in battle. But then it killed civilians, like Japanese civilians. But then there is, of course, the argument that like if they were so devoted to their country, like a lot of times when the U.S. would retake a Japanese island, like the civilians would kill themselves, because they had been fed like propaganda of like how horrible Americans were, and like they would rather die um, than have to like deal with, kind of like how in North Korea they have a lot of propaganda about like, Americans like eating children and whatever.
A lot of it.
Yeah, so they had that. So the justification for this was that, like, kind of like a trolley problem type justification, where they say, without the nuclear bomb, there would have been more deaths. But so that's like a utilitarian perspective, I guess. But if we look at it from, I think it's called like duontology or something, which is just, it's not, it's like the opposite of utilitarianism. It's like moral, trying to be moral, is that this thing killed civilians. So it was a
Which is
bad thing
technically a
to
war
do.
crime.
With a D,
Yeah.
with an E, rather.
So, Dion. Okay, Dion.
Deontology. Yeah.
Okay. But basically, deontology would say both a ground invasion that kills civilians and a nuclear bomb that killed civilians would both be bad things, rather than the utilitarian saying you have to choose one or the other, so the bomb is the better one. So that's the.
But it was also found out that there was a lot of evidence saying that Truman was more focused on Russia at the time than he was on Japan. There's a bunch of quotes from historians that like it was considered an early Cold War act towards Russia as like a show of power rather than anything towards Japan, and they were just using Japan as like a method to demonstrate their weapons, I guess.
Yeah, and another argument I've heard is that if there was a ground invasion of Japan, it wouldn't just be an American ground invasion. There would have been a Russian invasion too, because if you think of where
and that's
Japan
another
is,
reason why we dropped the bomb, because we didn't want Russia to join the war.
And we didn't want Russia, because if there was a ground invasion with both America and Russia, you would likely see a partition of Japan, like there was a partition of Germany. And that turned out pretty bad, the partition of Germany. But
Russia wanted to claim Manchuria, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. So
that's correct.
if there was a partition of Japan, like the U.S. didn't want that to happen. So.
Yeah. But you also gotta think about it, because before we dropped the two atomic
We're getting
bombs,
into the debate.
Yeah, no, I'm just presenting. I'm presenting to the fullest of my ability both sides. Before we dropped the bombs, we had already destroyed, bombed out, like at least 40 other Japanese cities.
Oh, those were the fire bombings of Tokyo, right?
Tokyo and like 40 other cities, 39 other cities that no one's ever heard about, because they're just like footnotes compared to Fat Man and Little Boy, But, in total, I don't know if we've already said the death total, but each bomb killed around 1 million people. So that's 2 million people dead. So that's like, I don't know. I know 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust, but how many people? Like total? Yeah, like around 10, 11 million. So that's like a fifth, around 20%. Done in 3 days, because we dropped the first one August 6th, second one August 9th. I made a video, check it out. But done in 3 days. 2 million people dead in 3 days. That's crazy.
And something very immoral about the nuclear bomb specifically compared to the carpet bombs is that when they would carpet bomb a city, like they would first fly over and drop a ton of paper pamphlets on the population that would say like, we're gonna bomb your city, get out, which must like hide or whatever, like you have been warned, which is probably a very bad message to receive, like the carpet bombs would still end up killing civilians, but like they were warned at least. I mean, either way, it's still immoral.
The hell did the pamphlet say? You just like grab one and it just says "run."
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know what the pamphlets would say. They would say like like we're gonna bomb you. So that was like the etiquette or whatever, right? That was the standard. So that would happen. But with the nuclear bomb, it was no warning. It was just one plane, no pamphlets, just nuclear bomb. So
and here,
yeah.
let me search this up.
Yeah.
And we gave them 3 days to surrender before we did anything. We didn't give them any demonstration of the weapon, so they didn't know what was coming. And they gave some vague offers of conditional surrender that we didn't accept. There was talk of negotiating through China that we didn't accept. That I'm not saying it was anything solidified and factual, like for sure, but those are all things that I've seen in research for essays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there was one like Navy captain who said they called something, I forget what it was called, but it was like a way of surrendering almost to the Navy specifically, I guess.
Yeah.
But I forget what it was called. And it was
But it's also it's crazy to think, because the reason the US joined the war, amongst some other things, was the attack on Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people know how many people died in Pearl Harbor, including
2,800 something?
2,400, but that's a closer guess than I would have gotten. But 2,400 people dead. And we responded with, first we went to war with Japan, so we did island hopping and stuff, and I couldn't even tell you how many people died in that. You can Google it. You got fingers. If any viewers do not have fingers, let me know. But
type your response in the comments below.
Oh my god.
Well, how else are they going to let you know?
He's just going to key smash, and I'm going to die.
Oh, no. What if... Wait, we haven't gotten a message from Stop It yet. I missed...
Oh, dude, no, just wait.
Just wait. Stop it. Come back, please.
No, the last couple of times, he did it like an hour and a half in.
Okay. He'll be here.
Also, we tricked out Zoom. Again.
Yeah, we tricked out Zoom.
You realize? Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. Zoom hasn't realized. So...
Anyways. Yeah.
It's like that hack in... It's like that hack and upload with the bagel.
Yeah. You just slam the thing. Yeah. But, yeah, so Pearl Harbor, reason that we started the entire thing, that killed 2,400 people. And even ignoring the island hopping, ignoring the 40 other some odd cities that we already blew up. Yeah. We responded with an attack that was 1,000-fold, because 2 million people died from the bombs. So we responded in, such an extreme exponential attack, and that's what makes the debate tricky. It's like, why did we have to pick such populated cities? So that's just another food for thought. But I do like how we're showing the psychology of both sides, because on one side you have the US, who is losing soldiers by the day. Usually the US is actually, look at wars, US is pretty good at keeping its soldiers alive. Obviously Vietnam, we crapped the bed in Vietnam, honestly. But we're pretty good at keeping casualties as low as we can. That's like our first motive, but our first priority, besides not injuring civilians. So when we pull stuff like this, which literally only hits civilians, it's kind of strange. But
yeah.
But I think we can go off to the next one, because we spent the next one. So Max's busted ass computer, just to stick it to him.
How dare you?
Just
that
so he
shocked me.
didn't
I wasn't
forget.
expecting that.
One of the largest acts of terrorism of the modern age. One of the most important assassinations. Max's busted ass computer. Aster Zero.
Aster Zero. Who's the culprit?
Well, 9 times out of 10, you're killed by someone that you know.
No. Don't you insinuate. No. I'm very distraught over the death.
I don't think it's 9 times out of 10. I think it's like 7 out of 10. But...
Okay. I'm very distraught over the death of the computer. See, it's cold. This is horrifying. Usually right here, usually the battery is, acting like a fusion candle, usually it's like glowing red on the black body curve. But it is ice cold today, which is frightening.
Yeah.
When I
The
try and
symbol
play
of-
Minecraft while on FaceTime on my computer, it could probably heat my whole house.
Yeah, exactly. So
But
yeah,
anyways, yeah, I just wanted to stick it to
you just
you.
wanted to injure my mental
You
state.
seemed that you were getting a little too happy, a little too bubbly. So let's
I
bring
was
it down
getting a little bit happy.
Yeah.
Thank you for just ruining
I
it.
love how we're wearing opposing colors as well. It's
Uh-huh.
like it's the true rivalry.
Yeah,
Those
team
are not
red,
opposing
team blue.
colors. Blue and orange are opposing colors. Look at a color wheel.
I said opposing colors, not complementary colors.
Complementary
You
colors are
thing.
opposite on the color wheel.
I said I will kill you. Here's my motive for
Psychology
murder.
of this murder.
Here's my
Semantic.
psychology. Let me run you through my thought process, Lucia.
Okay.
I make a statement. I don't need anyone to
An
respond
incorrect
to it.
statement.
I don't need anyone to even think about it. I just need people to hear it. I don't need people to give me back talk. So
Then
when
just
I
look
say
at a
red
color
and
wheel.
blue, when I say red and blue are opposing colors, you bet your butt that whatever reality I live in, they're opposing colors. I will alter the color wheel. I'll invent a new color wheel.
Hmm.
Red and blue are, you know.
Well, yeah. I'm sorry, Sebastian, but Lucia is correct. There are two possible definitions, and the opposite of blue can either be orange if you're talking about a classic color wheel, or it can be yellow if you're talking about computer coloring systems. So,
A minute drive to Lucia's house.
you're gonna drive to Lucia's house.
Get there, do what I need to do, and get out,
Okay.
and still have time for dinner.
This is all on camera now, by the way. We have
Yeah, so if she
full-on
gets murdered
confession.
within the next hour, it might be me.
Oh,
know?
that's not good. Don't worry. As long as you stay in frame, you have an alibi. Remember that. If anyone,
I'm gonna leave frame for a second. Give me a second.
No, he's gonna get, okay. If anyone tries to,
I found this outside of my house, and I'm gonna use it. I'm
you found
using
this outside of your house, just on the ground.
No, Zach got it to me because he
Oh.
saw it in a store, and he was like,
It looks too similar.
It looks pretty similar. It's all black, you know.
Oh
You
no.
ready?
Oh no.
You ready?
Oh, how dare. Oh my god.
If you can spell my last name.
Yeah, exactly.
You have it present. It's your username.
Oh,
Oh,
shoot,
no.
that is a point.
It's gonna be pretty easy to keep your face in my mind, considering I'm staring directly at you.
Can you mail me a piece of the note so that I can see Ryuk?
Delete.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, she's good. Well, we have 40 seconds.
You have 40 seconds.
Oh no. Anyways, okay. So next we have legality. So here we're talking about murder. Whereas, before I guess it wasn't technically murder, it was killings, and they had different names, but we're just calling it all murder. But here we're going to talk about like the law. And you might have heard like first degree murder, second degree murder. We're going to talk about that, like mass murder,
Manslaughter.
serial killer. We're going to talk about all the different types. So that's what we mean by legality. Not like that it's ever legal. I mean, self-defense, I guess, but then it's not really murder. Who knows, whatever. So we're just talking about types according to the law, not whether or not it is legal, because it is not legal to kill people. So yeah, all right. Lucia seems fine. So I guess you just misspelled her name.
Well, actually, I didn't write her name down. That's the thing.
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case. You see.
It was a fake notebook the whole time.
Fake notebook.
We took out 16 pages, the first 16 pages. Yeah, all right. So let us begin. Got first degree murder.
First degree murder.
And we've got some boomer comics here. Cartoon stock. So, first degree murder is often like
Is there like one boomer because they don't
there's
draw
gotta
the
be
same
one
style.
artist that draws all of these. Yeah.
And probably makes bank off of these old people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so first degree murder is like premeditated murder. So premeditated means like it was planned out long in advance. So this is like a plot. This is like someone like
This is lore on this murder.
yeah, this is lore. Yeah, like today is May 10th, you know, and say someone started plotting like to kill someone and then the murder ended up happening on like May 31st. That would be premeditated murder and first degree murder because there was like a clear plan behind it. You know, it wasn't spontaneous. That's the key thing here. Which is punished more severely, first or second degree? Um,
First degree.
First degree. Okay. So I guess we consider it worse to be worse to be a planner than someone who has fits of rage and temper.
I'm getting put on a list because I'm just Googling
Oh yeah.
average sentence for first degree murder.
Jamie, pull that video up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so I don't know, because it's interesting that like with our that our legal system has the morality that a pre-planned murder is worse than like a like fit of rage murder.
Yeah, minimum
Yeah.
30 years,
Okay.
maximum death penalty,
Okay.
or life without parole.
Because it's
And the
interesting though,
second,
because oh yeah,
is minimum 15
Mm.
can also be death penalty.
I find that very strange.
Well, no. Generally, the death penalty is not a possible sentence for second degree murder.
Okay.
But I'm very certain that you can get life imprisonment without parole.
So I find it interesting that because this wouldn't necessarily like it might seem obvious, but I don't think this is obvious. Like I could see a society where second degree murder is considered worse than first degree murder. You know?
Because you don't have control of your emotions.
Exactly, because second degree murder kind of says like this person is like a threat to society because they can
He has
snap
no
at any
control
moment.
in any situation, yeah.
Whereas first degree murder, I mean, it's murder, but like the person is, you know, collected, I guess. You know.
So you like smart murder.
Usually people devolve psychologically, especially serial killers. So if they kill one person in an organized manner and they're a serial killer and they kill another person in an organized manner, they're going to have a de-evolution of like a degeneration of their thought process, and it's going to start to get more and more disorganized until until it is, I guess, considered second degree murder because they just see someone and they feel the need to kill them because they have to satisfy that need that they have. So sometimes it can start organized and devolve into something that's disorganized and probably more along the lines of second degree. But I mean, again, there's also one-off murders. Like not everyone's a serial killer. Some people just like plan a murder, kill the person, get away with it, you know?
Yeah, you see, I guess that's true. I don't see why it's so like clear cut. You know what I mean? I could see them as equally bad.
Yeah.
But like I don't understand why like someone planning to kill is considered worse than someone snapping. Cause I don't know. If there
It's
are
like the
any law
government's like,
experts
we
out there.
all, go crazy, kill people every now and
Yeah.
then. We did that to JFK. It's like, it's fine.
Yeah, like we all, you know, like that. I don't
Everybody
get.
has those days, you know?
Yeah, everyone has those days. Yeah, no, that doesn't.
You know Mondays, right? Everyone hates Mondays. So just go out and kill someone. This is Monday. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't get it, but yeah, so first degree murder is considered worse and it's like planned out. Yeah.
Going to second degree murder, it's just like
Yeah, should go to second. Yeah, second degree murder is a snap decision.
So I chose this comic because it immediately came to my mind. Deadpool once just killed a guy because he claimed the Star Wars prequels were better than the original trilogy. A sin.
That's fair. That's fair.
Not fair.
The prequels do have some merit.
Killing.
Yeah.
The killing is fair. Yes,
prequels
I
do
thought
have
you
some
had the
merit.
opinion.
They've got
Yeah.
memes, and they've got a very thematic story. You can draw parallels between the rise of Emperor Palpatine and the rise of dictators in history. There's a very
Let's
good
go.
line.
Let's go
Third
right
movie.
now. Right now.
This is how democracy dies, with thunderous applause. That is such a powerful line. Spoken by Pat. Yeah, okay. I know.
Done. It's over for you.
Not really, right? I didn't say they were better. I say they had merit.
Have fun. You do some weird stuff before you die.
Uh-oh. How do we know that the rest of this live stream is just what he wrote down in the span of a few seconds?
Or what say I didn't say, oh, he dies on the 12th of April.
Wait, what?
Because you can set the death later. You can
I know,
specify.
but the 12th of April already passed.
I know. 12th of April, 2086.
Oh, okay.
Just
I'm not worried. I'm not very worried.
just far enough so people can be like, maybe he did die of a heart attack. And if you die on April 12th, 2086, I did it.
Okay.
Max
Well,
is just
we'll
gonna be
see.
sitting there in his chair. He's remembering this last year. He's like, I'm gonna give him a run for his money. You just jump off a cliff.
All right. I'm gonna give him a run.
Oh, what if I wrote that in as well? He jumps off.
Okay. Anyways, so yeah.
What am I
This is
talking about?
second-degree murder.
Second-degree murder. Not what I just did.
Well, that would kind of be what you just did. You got enraged.
Yeah, that was an emotional response.
Yeah. You got enraged that I was speaking about the merits of. We literally just did this comic over again. We literally just did this. We just acted out this comic.
I am, yeah.
Oscars for both of you.
Thank you.
Anyways, so yeah, this is punished less harshly by the justice system for some reason. And you know, it's just when like someone gets enraged and then they kill someone. Now, I think this should be punished just as severely as first degree murder, if not more, because we always see these like famous cases of like high profile individuals like snapping. You know, like there's a lot of like murder cases, like if you ever watch those murder cases, where there are so many unstable people out there, and it's very dangerous to society. So yeah, I don't know why there's a designation, you know, difference, but
yeah. And then we get to third degree murder, which is actually a thing.
yeah, I forgot what exactly is third degree murder?
Third degree murder is kind of like second degree murder, but Florida, Minnesota, and Pennsylvania classify it as you weren't trying to kill them, you were only trying to do them bodily harm. But in every other state.
So it's attempted murder.
Well, it's not attempted because you weren't trying to kill them. It's like the opposite.
You weren't.
It's like the opposite of attempted murder, where attempted murder is
manslaughter.
Yeah, I guess other states would probably just.
Well, every other state classifies not trying to kill them, but they actually die as second degree murder.
Oh, okay.
You know, like if you beat a guy, you think he's unconscious, but he actually like ends up dying. That's second degree murder.
Manslaughter would be like
unless you're in Florida, Minnesota, or Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is an interesting one. It's kind of like the opposite of attempted murder, where attempted murder is they didn't die, but you tried to kill them. This is you weren't trying to kill them, but they did die. But it's worse than manslaughter, which is like accidental because
you didn't try to kill them and they did die.
Yeah, because manslaughter
is
you weren't trying to kill them, nor were you trying to like do anything of harm to them. But third degree murder is you weren't trying to kill them, but like, you know, if they went like halfway there, you know, you were trying to like make them see
you were trying to mess them up.
Yeah.
Involuntary manslaughter is a minimum sentence of at least 1 year of incarceration.
Involuntary manslaughter.
Involuntary.
That would be like a car crash or something.
Exactly.
Where
So you
were
get like
texting. I don't know. Car crash with texting. Okay. But
and
then
then voluntary manslaughter is same as second-degree murder.
I see this as kind of similar to voluntary manslaughter. What exactly is voluntary manslaughter? Like, what's
You tried to cause them bodily harm. You didn't try and kill them.
Well, that would be what third degree is here. So, what's the difference?
Yeah, it's
Voluntary
just these
manslaughter.
whack-ass states that are doing that.
Okay, yeah.
And
Florida's weird.
yes, Florida's a whack-ass state. Minnesota's a whack-ass state. Pennsylvania's a whack-ass state. If you're watching from any of those things, get off.
No, don't tell them to get off.
Max.
A ton of these people are in Florida, dude. I'm in Florida. Anyone that's watching because they go to my school is in Florida.
Get off.
So, yeah.
Or I'm
Florida?
coming for you. April 12th,
Oh,
2095.
You
Yeah.
changed it. It was 2086. And don't
that's
think I'll
for you.
forget that.
That's for you. You got to die like a couple of years earlier.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, no, voluntary manslaughter is the exact same thing as second-degree murder. It's a killing that occurs, quote unquote, in the heat of passion.
Oh, wait, really? Voluntary manslaughter?
Yeah, intentional killing in which the offender had no prior intent to kill.
That's considered voluntary manslaughter?
Yeah, voluntary manslaughter and second-degree murder are the same thing.
So then what's the difference?
Well, because there exists involuntary manslaughter.
So is voluntary manslaughter a thing someone can be charged with, or is it just second-degree murder?
I guess it... I don't know.
Asking the real question. We are not lawyers. Oh, gosh. This is why law school...
wait. Okay, here you go. Actually, here's the difference.
Okay.
And here it is from American law, because in Britain, maybe it's asked backward.
Yeah.
But voluntary manslaughter is the killing of a human being in which the offender acted during, quote, the heat of passion under circumstances that would cause a reasonable person to become emotionally or mentally disturbed to the point that they cannot reasonably control their emotions.
Okay.
So it's I guess it's a lesser form, because it's like, okay, we get it.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. If it's like that thing with the Star Wars prequels, then it's like it's second-degree murder, because no one should be enraged by that. Or fine. For the sake of the joke, right? For the sake of the joke, if someone just walks up to you and says, "Nice weather we're having today," and then you get so enraged because you think it's actually a bit nippy, so then you kill them. That would be second-degree murder. But if someone comes up to you, I don't know, insults you, berates you, tells you that like they've been like cheating on your wife for the last 30 years, spits in your face, etc., and the court's like, yeah, he kind of had it coming. I guess that's voluntary manslaughter. So I guess that's the distinction. So that's interesting. It's interesting how U.S. law reacts, like how classifies all this instead of just the subheading, just murder when you kill someone. It's like there's all these nuances, which is very.
I feel like there should be murder and like accidental killing, and then that's it. Because if you hit someone with your car, not because you were texting, because they ran out into the road, then it's like you didn't mean to kill them, but they're very dead. But then if you were texting, then that's accidental, but like a different kind of accidental, because you weren't trying to kill them, but it's still your fault.
Yeah.
And then there's just like straight up, I killed you, heat of passion, or premeditated, that's just murder.
So I see that why there's all these designations. It's really interesting, actually. Being a lawyer must be interesting, even though I would never want to.
Well, here's a question I have, and it goes directly into the next one. I'm wondering if, in cases of mass murder, which is the next one, is it often premeditated, or is it like spur of the moment?
Yeah, I mean, how do you mass murder people in the spur of a moment?
Yeah, you just you walk out of your like office shootings, like you get laid off. and then you just walk in an hour later.
Oh, I think these are usually premeditated though. At least
Yeah,
like
that would be my guess, but I don't know. So
because
like
these
the one
people
we
are
have
always
up,
busted. You always
yeah,
get that. Like they're busted like a week before it was gonna happen or whatever. Like you always see that. This is from the Columbine.
yeah.
You can tell by the date. Um, April 20th, 1999. Yeah. So
This was
this is
premeditated.
yeah, this is mass murder. I would say is probably usually like premeditated. Um, yeah.
Because you have to acquire the weapon. You have to figure out when you're going to do it, where you're going to do it, how you're going to do it. That's premeditated. Like a lot,
Yeah.
I would imagine a lot of second-degree murders, like beating to death with something or like strangulation, because it's
Yeah.
like you're right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. The only situation I could see like second degree murder being done with like a gun would be if someone already had a gun with them. So if they had like a permit or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but like, yeah, generally, if you bring a weapon, I think this is something used in court as evidence for like whether it's first or second degree murder, is like if you bring a weapon with you to an altercation and you're trying to say it was second degree murder, I think that can be used to say, no, it was first degree murder because they brought a gun with them. So, like, what were they planning to do with it?
Shoot him in the kneecap, like.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, theoretically, yeah, but like in court, I think that's usually pretty damning evidence if someone like brought
Yeah.
with them. So it makes it difficult to be second degree murder. But if they just bring it everywhere they go, if it's their emotional support gun, like right, like it's just with them all the time, right? Like if they can prove that, then I guess that's how you would make it second degree murder.
It's registered. It has a name, like registered as an emotional support animal.
This is Donnie.
Donnie. But
you
anyway,
can pet him. Don't get too close, though. I could shoot you.
Yeah. Anyways, so
Donnie, don't tickle his belly.
He bites.
He bites.
Oh,
he bites hard.
That's funny.
So
yeah, mass murder. There's an entire string of motives, you know. Obviously the most recent ones are like school shootings, and that was like a big thing last year. Not as much of a thing this year.
Actually, I think this month is the first month the U.S. has gone without a school shooting.
Last month too.
Yeah, because no one's in school.
Yeah, exactly. No one's at school. Interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, so there's a lot of motives for these. Unfortunately, a lot of the
this is such a big issue, like because when I was in 8th grade, nearing the end of 8th grade year, there was like a shooting threat at our high school, right? Like you guys remember that?
Yeah.
And this year there was another one at my new high school, in like December. So
you are the cursed child.
No, so like I've had 2 shooting threats.
Thankfully, it was actually a bomb threat. Was really? Ours, yeah. That was a bomb threat, you know.
Well, no, wasn't it like they found the student, like they had like a whole.
He did have guns, yeah, but he called in a bomb threat, yeah.
Well, but the fact that this is so like prevalent, that's just crazy. Like no one person should have 2 threats, right? And so that's just kind of crazy. And what else? Let's see. So
yeah, no, but it was like one of the most infamous school shootings of all time, Sandy Hook, you know, the tragedy of Sandy Hook. I was in 1st grade, and so were you.
We all were.
Wait, I thought that was
we were
no, that
20
was 3rd
minutes.
grade.
We were 20 minutes away.
That was 3rd grade. We were in 3rd grade.
3rd grade, yeah, 3rd grade. Sorry.
The victims were in 1st grade.
Yeah. So yeah, we were like a 20-minute drive away from Sandy Hook when it was going on.
Yeah.
I remember the day it happened because my mom would not tell me what was going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same with me. You know, we got pulled right out of school, and I just had a lot of snacks that day. You know, my mom was just like,
yeah. Then another infamous one, the Parkland. That was, I mean,
that was like the headliner of news for 2019 was when it
Yeah.
happened. 2019. Yeah.
That was, I forgot what month. I think that was February 2019, right? I
I
think it was
don't
on
remember.
Valentine's Day, actually. I think I
No,
remember.
it was 2018, February 14th, 2018.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
2018. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
2018.
yeah, so this is such a, like, oh yeah. I want to mention mass murder is the murder of four or more people at one time. I think that's the legal definition. So, um, oh my gosh, there's a moth in here. Why? Um, sorry.
He's gonna murder that moth.
It's not a moth. Sorry, it's like a weird thing. It's a bug. It's annoying. Uh, anyways, yeah, so if you look at like there's like websites that are like lists of US mass murders, because it's like unfortunately
A little
common.
bit of brain matter.
Yeah, it's unfortunately common, and so that's the legal definition, four or more people. Um, but yeah, I can't believe how prevalent of an issue this is. Like
Yeah,
this is
and
ridiculous.
it's like common to the U.S.
Yeah.
It's like they have the
It's
thing.
almost
Like,
specific to the U.S.
hmm?
It's almost specific to the U.S. Like
Oh
Yeah,
you
my
no,
don't
it
hear
is.
God.
about
It
other.
is. Yeah, because it's like the U.S. has such a high number,
Yeah.
and like no one else does. But it's not to say that like the crime rates are any different, because it's just
Yeah.
different things in different areas. The area just happens to be
Hmm.
school, and once we figure out like why that is, and like you can make all sorts of different arguments that it's how the education system is set up, or it's the way the government is set up, or it's like the lack of mental health stuff. Like guidance counselors don't do jack. Look at me
Do
in
you
the
remember
eyes.
Miss
Everyone
Vukas? Do
watching.
either of you remember Miss Vukas?
I
I'm not sure
remember
we
her.
should say people's names, but
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, but
it's
whatever.
fine.
Hey, look at me. Look at me. Everyone watching YouTube, look at me. It takes zero skill to be a guidance counselor. I could pull myself up by my bootstraps today and be a guidance counselor. That shouldn't be how it is.
I don't want to explicitly say it, but like part of what has been frustrating me today has involved a guidance counselor that hasn't been particularly helpful.
Mm,
So I will admit.
you're trying to cry to her about your broken ass computer.
No, I was trying to get help with like an application, because I was like, hey, these instructions are kind of
Why won't my Twitter.com work?
I was like, hey, these instructions are kind of confusing, and then she wasn't really clarifying it. But yeah, I don't want like, I don't want to make enemies during this stream. I don't want people to be like, oh, he criticized guidance counselors, so I'm just
Well, you can blame me for criticizing a guidance counselor.
yeah, Lucia, look at her blaming guidance counselors. Guidance counselors
I
can
wear
be
that badge
helpful.
proudly because I
Um,
disliked her.
all right. Well, there you go. Lucia has personal beef with people. Um, all right. So what else is there? Um, but
Serial
yeah.
killers.
So this is an
Really? Wait, we didn't throw a final thoughts slide in. Here,
There's
I'll
no
put that in.
final thoughts. Oh,
Yeah,
how
I
did
guess we
we?
just forgot to throw that. Give me a sec.
This is such a wacky jank stream.
It's such a wacky,
Sorry,
wacky.
you guys. But anyways, so I guess the psychology behind this is like people that like it's kind of the psychological mind setting that occurs when there's a mass murder. Um, but rather than with knights, it was like an honorable thing, like a not
Throw it
honorable,
in.
but it was in their sense honorable. With mass murderers, it's just like they don't value their own lives anymore, nor the lives of others, and so they want to like make a statement or something. Because oftentimes these people, there'll be an investigation, and you'll find a manifesto, which is just like large like essay where they pretty much just say like, oh, everything sucks for me. This like right. So these people are obviously psychologically disturbed. It's crazy. Like, it's crazy that they've gotten to a point where they don't value their own lives nor the lives of others, so they just want to cause destruction and like to be known or whatever.
Go
So
out
this
with
is
a
so
bang.
crazy because
A lot
I
of them end in suicides as well.
yeah
Yeah.
I think this is probably like a problem both of like mental health and psychological issues as well as like societal problems of like for some reason like society isn't making people like motivated and like valuing their own lives anymore. Um, like there's this quote, it's like the most dangerous person is someone that has nothing left to lose or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying when I was talking about terrorism earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's sad that it's both a mental health thing, but it's also it's dangerous that as a society, for some reason, we are failing to keep people like valuing their lives. And for some reason, this society is creating a lot of people that have nothing left to lose. And that's like a big factor in this.
Well, like,
Of course,
isn't
there's
everyone?
also, I mean, it's a
Yeah.
gun thing too, like gun laws.
Yeah.
That's a big argument. I feel like we should mention that because, we're trying to present all sides of the argument here. So it's also a gun laws thing because people say if people didn't have as easy access to weapons, then this wouldn't occur as much. And then, of course, there's counter arguments, and that's really just a gun control debate. So we don't really want to get into that because that doesn't really fit the topic. We're just talking about mass murder, and it's related, but like we don't want to do a whole thing on that,
Tangent.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
um,
But
yeah.
yeah. So, like, I was gonna say, isn't everyone that commits an act of mass murder, they're like always psychologically in some way disturbed? They have some mental illness,
I mean,
because anyone who would willingly do this.
I wouldn't say always because someone will probably find that one case, like there's always that one. Like, so I wouldn't say always, but yeah, probably like 99% of the time. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But also going into the next one, I can comfortably say that everyone that falls into this category has some not working up here. So
yeah, that's very true. Because killing one time is one thing, but killing repeatedly, oftentimes in the same manner with like a signature, is very, very specific and different.
Yeah.
And that really
so serial killers, it's 3 or more. We looked it up before the stream. You need to kill 3 or more people.
It used to be 2 or more.
Meditated.
And so the name comes from the word series because it's a series of killings, so it's serial. That's why it's not spelled like breakfast.
Funny.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just saying because sometimes people get that confused. But yeah, so a serial killer, they kill multiple people in a row, and these people are like the craziest because it's not like an act of just rage. It's premeditated, but not only is it premeditated, like with first degree murder, it's kind of like someone is like out to get someone, right? Like there's this one specific person. But with serial killers, it's less about a person and more about like the act of killing itself, which
and a lot of the time the type of person. The people will often look very, very similar.
That's
like
true.
Serial killers will often have a type, whether it's men or women, and they will often look very, very similar. Oftentimes they are a person. They look like a person who their rage is like driven by. Like sometimes a serial killer will choose victims that look like their mother or their sister or something like that. Or like an ex-girlfriend or something.
That was Ted Bundy. Yeah, he killed people that looked like his ex. But so this guy, the image here, and the reason why I picked this image to represent serial killers is that this guy is like the mother of all horror stories. He his name is Edward Gein, and he I think he might have only killed like 2 people in actuality, but he did such like disturbing acts that he inspired a lot of horror movies that we have today. like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the most famous one that you've heard about that he inspired, and like the character of Leatherface and all that. This guy was the inspiration, because he would like take people's skin and like he made a lamp out of some girl's skin and like he
Yeah.
Oh,
dug
that
bodies
inspired an
up.
episode of American Horror Story.
Yeah, and that as well.
Yeah. It's interesting that it was a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that movie. Because I always think, like, Texas isn't known for the sheer amount of
Indeed was in the middle of nowhere.
chainsaws, you know? Like, it's like I saw one post about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie where they're like, Texans are so armed, like a chainsaw would be ineffective against Texans, you know?
Yeah, no, he was killing people in Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. Interesting. But yeah. So what's the psychology here?
He was also okay. So here you go. Geen served as the inspiration for Norman Bates, Leatherface, Buffalo Bill, and
Oh, Buffalo Bill from what's it called?
Silence of the Lambs.
That's one of my
And
favorite
Norman
movies.
Bates is from Psycho. Leatherface is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Dr. Oliver Thredson is American Horror Story. So all four of those, 1, 2, 3, 4, all four of those guys, and he was only 5'7".
Don't.
Softly, don't.
Softly. Don't. I am 5'6", I'll have you know. Yeah. Anyways.
Next up,
So
we got.
well, yeah, wait, I just want to say the psychology
go ahead.
here.
Yeah.
Psychology here is just so messed up. It's like there isn't any like I mean, none of it is really like logical, but there's no like consistent, I guess. I don't know. This is just like mental disorder. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of the only cause of this. Like no like completely healthy individual is like, I'm gonna kill a ton of people today.
And skin them and turn them into lamps.
Yeah, whereas like you could see with like a second degree murder or something, you could say, okay, that's just a person with like anger issues, like extreme anger issues. So like that's like, the psychology isn't as messed up. Whereas a serial killer, they're just crazy, you know? Like their psychology is whack.
Yeah. So yeah, next up, we got some conspicuous killings.
Conspicuous. This isn't a legal designation.
Yeah.
But I guess you could say conspiracy type situations where people are like, did that person really die of an accident? And so the reason this is under the legality slide is because oftentimes it's posited that these are conspiracies of certain government agencies. So obviously, if a government is going to kill someone, then it won't be illegal within that government's, framework. Because if the government kills someone and the government makes laws, then it was legal to kill that person, you know? Even if it's like kept hush hush because the public wouldn't agree. So this like type of murder is pretty egregious because it's like it's like an abuse of power. Like a government acting like this is just horrible because if we think of like there are evil individuals, like fine, like that makes sense and we like punish evil individuals. But when our government, which is like, it's supposed to provide for the good of the people, is like gonna kill someone and like keep quiet about it because they don't want people to get mad, that is just pretty bad. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's basically it. Like the government's supposed to keep everyone safe and not kill random people.
Yeah.
Well, no, they're not random people, but like, this is Jamal Khashoggi is this image. And he was killed for political reasons because he was a journalist and he was trying to expose stuff, and they, did all that to him.
Yeah, so the psychology here is pretty frightening as well. Because
Cold.
it's so cold, right? Yeah. Like a serial killer, they're like weird and twisted, but like, can you imagine how callous you must be as a powerful, like elected official or non-elected official, just a leader, um, like just a powerful individual cares so little about others and only cares about themselves to the point where they see killing people as just another action to gain power. Like that is crazy that a human can be so unempathetic, you know? Because like we are social creatures and we're supposed to be like social. Um, but like we're supposed to have empathy. But when someone is just so concerned about their own power that they don't see killing someone as like wrong, they don't really care. They're just like, well, whatever I need to do to gain more power. That is like pretty bad. So yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. A lot of governments guilty of this.
I would
We'll
say
leave it there.
every government is guilty of this, even if we don't know at some point or another it must have happened, you know? Um, it may be more common with certain governments, but every single government, I think, is guilty of at least like one suspicious killing that
Yeah.
was not like, I mean, warranted. I don't like that, like to say warranted, but like that wasn't told to the public and it wasn't done because it's like an act of war. It wasn't done because like that's the law and that's capital punishment. It was done like in secret and like yeah, that's I think every government is probably guilty of this at some point or another. So
Yeah. So next up, we have psychopathy.
psychopathy.
So real quick, we're just gonna delve into the anatomy of psychopathy because what it is that it's the suppression of empathy in one's brain, and that's really what it comes down to. Is that's really what it is. That is the psychology of murder.
Yeah.
Is a lack of empathy.
Well,
Because,
some murder.
well, even going back to what we said in the beginning with knights, soldiers, crusades, the Holocaust, all of that, it's because they were valuing people as less than human, So they're like, oh, we shouldn't have empathy for these people because would you have empathy for a worm if you stepped on it, And
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like second degree murder though, probably like a lot of people that commit second degree murder probably like wouldn't fall under like psychopath because
but yeah, but
psychopath
in the moment, they don't have
Or
any
I mean, there's
I
always
guess
sociopath too. Well,
yeah
no, it's not
because
called sociopath. It's called antisocial personality disorder.
yeah.
oh okay wait so what is sociopath then? Is
So
that just
they
not
got
a
rid
thing?
of sociopath.
Oh, they
It's just
got rid
not
of
a
it.
term anymore.
Oh, okay. When did they get rid of it?
I don't know. I just know that I've asked my therapist about it before because I was curious about why no one actually uses sociopath, and she said because they got rid of the term and replaced it with antisocial personality disorder.
Oh, okay. Because I've used both terms before. I didn't know they were the same thing. Interesting. But yeah,
I guess
so
they just added some more specific definitions to it and like clauses, like you can only be it if you also have like a conduct disorder as a kid or something like that.
okay. Yeah, because that's something I was about to say. The term psychopath is probably overused. Like
Yeah,
people just
it is a medical thing. Like you can be a
yeah.
diagnosed psychopath.
Yeah, like people just kind of throw it around like, "Oh, you're a psychopath. He's a psychopath. She's a psychopath. We're all psychopaths." Um, I scream, you scream, we all scream because of psychopaths. Um, but uh, it's an actual like medical thing with like listed symptoms. So it's not
And
just like a
most
catch-all term.
psychopaths aren't serial killers or killers at all.
That's true. That's true.
They just happen to run businesses.
Yeah,
or
no,
various podcasts.
Or podcasts. Oh my god.
Going into the anatomy of it, if my computer could stop an entire slew of words, choice words that I would like to use. But real quick, you can track and you can look at brain activity, and we figured out what parts of the brain are responsible for empathy, because it's classified under. I don't know if it would be a complex emotion, because some animals lack empathy, but
I don't think empathy is an emotion.
I'll get the definition.
Empathy, yeah, I'm not sure if it's an emotion. It's more like a medium to receive emotion.
Yeah, so it's defined as the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. So it's an ability. But there are some animals that do have empathy. There are some animals that don't. Like alligators, they don't have empathy.
That's very obvious from looking at an alligator.
Yeah, but elephants have empathy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, elephants have empathy. They cry when their
they do.
family dies, and they have their own sound they make.
Yeah.
That was my trunk motion, by the way.
Sound for us, real quick, Lucia?
No.
Give us just a quick audio clip,
No, it was a nice try, but no.
Just 2 seconds.
No.
1 second. Thank you. So
can't believe you actually bargained her down to 1 second. She was just.
That was less than a second too.
Oh wow.
Let's make a deal.
Let's make a deal. Deal or no deal.
Yeah, but 1 second, take it or leave it. But in the human brain, your ventromedial prefrontal cortex and your amygdala are the two main things. Well, they're not the two main things, but they've studied psychopaths' brain both alive and dead. They've looked at brain activity. Obviously, just when they were alive. When they're dead, there's not a lot. But in psychopaths' brain, neurons, which are the connectors around the brain, the nerves in the brain, they have less pathways going to the ventromedial prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. And that's crazy, because that's just like a physical defect turning into a mental defect, because it's, every single person's body is different because of how mutations happen and all that. And you have a million silent mutations. Some are just mutations that you don't really think about. This is it, if you just have, instead of obviously this would be in the terms of millions, but if you just have 10 connections to your prefrontal cortex rather than 5, and that's the difference between being a cold-blooded killer and Mother Teresa. It's crazy that it can come down to just a bunch of neurons.
Yeah.
But it's also, a lot of serial killers, and we're going to get into infamous serial killers. That's our next thing. A lot of them were, they have mental disorders because of their childhood. That's the stereotypical thing you see. But some of them are trauma. Some of them are oddballs. I don't think Ted Bundy had a messed up childhood.
It doesn't necessarily have to be childhood. It just has to be some form of trauma.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's. That's interesting. So
yeah, no, Ted Bundy did his thing. He said that he watched or read violent pornography when he was a kid, and he cited that as why he killed those women. And everyone was like, "Okay, Ted Bundy,"
Yeah.
But
yeah, I guess it's kind of like a thing where psychopathy is a condition that can amplify trauma, if there's trauma, I guess, because someone Lucia pointed out that not every psychopath ends up becoming serial killer.
Most don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, most don't. Most are just not normal people.
Some write books about the moon.
They are law-abiding people at the very least.
I mean, some of them can be fairly normal people, especially if they're medicated. It's not like it's an untreatable mental disorder.
I know, but it's to not have empathy, you have to
to not have empathy is more associated with antisocial personality disorder, I thought. And it can be treated with medication and therapy. You're not stuck like that forever.
you know.
You're
I
gonna
guess
have
that's
trouble with it for the rest of your life, but you're not like stuck just thinking I want to kill everyone all the time. Like you can live a normal life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into some infamous serial killers because this is what everyone loves. You know.
Yeah, I know. This is always like the amount of podcasts and TV shows that there are about this topic are surprising. Like, for some reason, people have so much like morbid curiosity, you know? Have you
Yeah,
ever-
it's because they're like disgusted, but they also want to like a lot of serial killers, especially like Ted Bundy, they're easy to empathize with because they're like Ted Bundy is like the American dream. He's like charming, he's charismatic, he is handsome, or people say he's handsome. And so people want to empathize with that because he looks like and acts like a normal person, but they are also disgusted by it, so they want to learn more about it because they're like disgusted by their own fascination with it.
It's sort of like the analogy where they say it's like a train wreck and you can't look away.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it's weird though. It kind of like, I feel like when I talk to people that like these shows, they're always like a little guilty about it. They're like, I don't know.
I have been told, and this is no exaggeration, I've been told by at least 5 people that I remind them of Ted Bundy.
That's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
That's not good. I have not ever been compared to a serial killer, at least not to my
Maybe
face.
Ed Gein, because of his height.
Oh, well, I am 5'6", I will have you know, not 5'7". I am even shorter than him.
Yes, I've beclowned myself.
Yeah, you have beclowned yourself. That's just the best word.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yes,
yeah,
people are fascinated by serial killers because it's the worst of the worst. You got the bad grapes and you got the worst grapes. These guys are the worst grapes, green grapes. So
I think
Green
usually
grapes are good.
it's I think they usually say it's bad apples, but sure, bad grapes, okay. Anyways, first one, we got Jack the Ripper. So this is like this was like 1800s or
1888.
1888 in London. And
yeah, 1888.
Yeah. And he got the name Jack because like he sent letters to the police, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or well, it wasn't confirmed that it was from him, but someone sent letters to the police claiming to be the person responsible for these murders of it was like young women, right?
Yeah,
It was
prostitutes.
Oh, okay. So even more specific. But yeah, so then people put in like maybe the killer, maybe others like sent in these letters, and oh, if they had like fingerprinting or DNA back then, bam, solved in a jiffy, you know? But instead, they probably looked at the letters, got their grimy 1800s hands all over it, and were like, huh, isn't this interesting? Look at what he said. But yeah.
Yeah, so I'm reading his letter right now, and he's basically just taunting the police.
Oof.
If this is him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of serial killers do it for attention. They want attention, and they want attention because, and also some of them think they're doing a good thing by like cleansing. I guess like maybe that's what Jack the Ripper thought because he was like killing prostitutes, and prostitutes are considered dirty by a lot of people. So they often want like attention for what they're doing because that's why they're killing. They're seeking for attention, or they think they're doing a good thing by like cleansing, and they have some like god complex, and they think it's their job to cleanse or to clean what's dirty. And a lot of serial killers think like prostitutes are dirty or homeless people like won't be missed, don't need them, fixing things, or killers who kill other killers.
Yeah,
that's just a lot. That's a lot like Death Note right there, what you were describing. That's like the psychology of Light Yagami of Kira. You got it right there, where he's like god complex, and he's like, I will clean this world.
I will be the god of
the god of the new world. I am justice. That's the quote.
Well, yeah.
I did not know you liked anime.
Huh?
Oh yeah, no.
I did not know you liked anime.
Massive weeb right here. Weeb.
I am okay. I will give you my standard automated response. I am a fan of animated television. A lot of that animated television happens to come from Japan, but I enjoy American shows and anime.
Someone
That's fine.
make
I
an
was a huge
anime
Weave in middle
version of
school. It's
Max.
chill.
Someone make an anime version of Max right now.
No. Oh.
I want
Anime version of the Graphic Max live stream. Someone's gonna make
anime
an
version of Max.
I don't think we have enough notoriety yet. Maybe if we had like
Lucia's doing it. She's on it.
one or
She's on.
two orders of magnitude more subscribers, we would probably like
No, she's
get some
doing it.
clips. Oh, she's doing it? Nice.
Yeah.
She's doing it.
Anyways,
It's too late, dude.
yeah.
But yeah. So Jack the Ripper. A lot of theories. Shane and Ryan from BuzzFeed Unsolved tried to took a hack at it. Like,
are you familiar with
stab
Shane
at
and
it.
Ryan from BuzzFeed Unsolved?
Hmm?
Are you familiar with Shane and Ryan from BuzzFeed Unsolved? Like, why do you just have that on the top of your head?
Don't worry about it.
I'm like, that's an obscure reference.
It's really not.
A lot of people watch BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know how popular BuzzFeed was. My dog's
BuzzFeed Unsolved.
It's BuzzFeed Unsolved. BuzzFeed is like awful, but BuzzFeed Unsolved's pretty decent.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Anyways.
BuzzFeed, I don't know. Because sometimes you have those quizzes that are like, oh my god, my dog won't stop barking. Yeah, you've got those BuzzFeed quizzes that are like, pick a dog breed, and then at the end they're like, you will die in 7 days.
Yeah, it's like, design a burrito and we'll tell you where and when you'll be when, like, the Duolingo owl murders you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I apologize for my dog in the back. Oh my god, what is she doing?
We can barely hear her. It's fine.
Okay, well, you can barely hear her. I don't know about the audience.
That's true.
So I'm just going to speak loudly. We're just going to speak loudly. Should we go to the next section?
Yes.
All right, next section. The Zodiac Killer.
Mystery.
And it is not confirmed. This is just a joke. This is just a joke. This is just a joke. It's a popular internet joke. There is no evidence.
Not a joke.
He has not been convicted as the Zodiac Killer, okay?
I will see him in court.
So I don't want to get a slander.
I have his confession.
Okay? So Ted
Audio
Cruz,
taped.
not the Zodiac Killer.
Have it.
The picture on the left is an artist's rendition of like he was wearing a mask or something. And people say
when was he active? It was like the 60s.
Yeah. People say that Ted Cruz looks like this one sketch of the Zodiac Killer, so that's where the joke comes from for anybody wondering. But the joke. But so the thing that's really interesting about the Zodiac Killer is that it's an unsolved thing. Cause
as is Jack the Ripper.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That is true. Well, I guess this is a more recent unsolved thing, which is even more extraordinary, because people always wonder, like, who was the Zodiac Killer? Like, it's crazy, like the 60s. Like, things were the 60s.
60s were crazy.
Yeah. And, like, I feel like for most people, like, they're like, yeah, 1880s, yeah, things were uncivilized. Of course they didn't figure out who it was. But 1960s, like, people were alive in the 1960s that are alive today, So it's like, it's kind of shocking. And it was like in America. And it's like, how did they not figure out who the Zodiac Killer was?
Yeah, and that's another thing. Serial killers are weirdly specific to America as well.
Oh, yeah.
As are cults. Like, not a lot of other places have cults.
I guess that's true.
It's fun living in America.
Land of the crazies.
Home of the
home of the So,
but yeah, no, Zodiac Killer. He killed confirmed 5, confirmed injured 2, could be as high as like 28.
Yeah.
But another mystery. Now, we can talk about one in which they did catch, which was
Oh
my
wait, we're
guy,
just all right. Next,
Ted.
Ted Bundy. I spelled that name in.
Apparently, I am him.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either. But like people in my chem class and my girlfriend's friends say that I remind them of Ted Bundy.
Oh, that's not good when your
Yeah, no,
girlfriend's
it's not good.
friends say that. You don't want to hear that.
But they like me, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know
Well,
where they're at up here.
yeah. Then it's a bit of a conflicting issue.
But yeah, so he was active in the 70s. And he confessed in 89.
All right.
And he
So
was
interesting.
5'10". Would you look at that?
That is literally the average. That is the mean.
I
That is
think I might
average
be
height.
10.
Oh yeah, yeah. Wait, you're 5'10"? Oh my gosh. Um.
But
Anyway,
yeah, so he confessed to like
yeah,
30 homicides.
that's crazy. It's interesting that he has like this smirk on his face in this picture, because usually when there's like a mugshot or a picture of someone in court, they're always like really like downer face. They're always like,
Hey,
but he's just like,
Ted
yeah,
Cruz is smiling. He's
he's
smiling
just like,
loud and proud.
yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm Ted Bundy. Um, so,
Ted Bundy was given the death penalty, by the way,
oh
in
wow,
Florida. He was given the electric chair.
all right.
And a bunch
So,
of people find him hot.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's
he
a
got a
strange
girl
thing.
like pregnant, right, while he was
Mm.
in prison because a girl showed up to see him and was like, "Oh my god, I love you." You know, and he's
Yeah,
like,
there's this strange
you know
phenomenon
me.
where people like fall in love with like criminals and stuff. Like, I think there's a similar thing with like the Columbine killers, which is very disturbing. I mean, like
Yeah,
people,
no, yeah, that was big.
yeah, for some reason people like become attracted to killers. Like, that's a whole nother like psychological thing there. Like, what's the psychology on that one? Uh, the brain is so interesting and so horrible generally. Um, so yeah,
The
was Ted
brain is a
Bundy?
bastard.
Yeah, was he like confirmed a psychopath or
Yeah,
sociopath or whatever?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, he is definitely confirmed.
Okay.
Um,
So yeah.
There's something wrong.
Yeah.
he is okay. Ted Bundy. So exactly which mental health disorder did he have? He had ASPD,
Okay.
antisocial
Social
personality.
personality disorder,
Yeah.
sociopath.
There you go. Yeah.
So
So
there
I
you
guess they probably called it a sociopath back then though, and like now they changed
go.
it.
Well, he was diagnosed with everything under the sun, from
Oh wow, really?
ASPD to psychopathy
Okay.
to narcissistic personality disorder
Okay.
to bipolar personality disorder to borderline personality disorder to schizoid personality disorder to addictive disorder, Machiavellianism, and then I just hit a lot of articles about Meghan
Wow.
Markle.
Just like a laundry list here. That's crazy. Um,
So yeah,
wow.
this man does it all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird. He's got like such a friendly, inviting face without the like context that he's a murderer, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. That's such a weird thing. Like, he feels no guilt. Anyways, should we go to the next one? The
Yeah.
next one's pretty interesting.
This guy. This guy.
Yeah,
This guy.
yeah.
So his
So,
real name is like Dennis, I think,
uh-huh.
or
But
David.
he's called the son of Sam because that dog on the left,
Dave. Yeah, David
Sam.
Berkowitz.
And
He
this
was
guy, David Berkowitz, he killed people.
1976.
So he was obviously had some mental disorders because he thought that his neighbor's dog, the dog on the left, was talking to him and telling him to kill people. Yeah. And the dog survived. Isn't that interesting? Like, imagine having the dog afterwards. Like, you're just like, oh my gosh. Like, I don't know how old the dog was when this happened, but like, could you imagine like for 10 years after, like your little cute dog that you're like, oh, it's my dog. But it's also the dog that's like indirectly responsible for like a ton of deaths. I mean, of course, he probably just, if he's mentally disturbed, it's not like that
Hey,
dog is causing
look
it
at
to.
that. We're ending on a good note because his height is 5'8", the exact center of our heights. So there we go.
Okay, unity, I guess. All right.
Unity.
I'm 5'2" and living my best life because women are almost never serial killers, and when they do kill, it's very neat. So it's probably
Very
poison.
neat. Oh, that's
There's
true.
been a
It's
lot of
always
crazy
poison.
queens, though. Like I don't mean queens. Like I mean literally monarchs.
Yeah,
I know,
monarchs.
like that Wales, the Queen of Wales.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
The girl in the Holocaust as well. There was it was Birkenau, which is a concentration camp in the Holocaust. And
Oh yeah, she was like the wife of one of the like
yes,
generals.
Mr. O. He told us
She
about
was a
this. I
weirdo.
followed up on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was the wife of one of the guards at the death camp, and she was just nuts. She did crazy, insane things.
Yeah.
oh, I
Like
remember him telling
disturbing.
us about this. I love
Yeah.
Mr. O.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of crazy stuff, But Son of
Yeah.
Sam, dude. Like, if you think your neighbor's dog is talking to
Yeah,
you,
not even
why
his
would you
dog.
listen to it? Why would
Why
you
would you
listen
listen
to
to
it?
the dog? Yeah. But this is an interesting case actually because this prompted the passing of some laws in the United States, and they're called the Son of Sam laws. And these laws basically say that you can't profit off of like criminal activities in this specific way. So this guy, right? He killed a ton of people. He got sentenced, put in jail. While in jail, he writes a book, and then he sells it, and he makes a ton of money off of that book, which is like, wow, that's crazy. Like that, what a power move. Um, so he makes a ton of money off of this book. People are like, that's messed up. He shouldn't be able to make money off of killing people because that's pretty much what he did. So they passed these laws that are like, if you like, you can't make money off of like writing about being a murderer. So those are the son of Sam laws. You can't like, yeah. I just find that so interesting. That like so many people were interested in this story that they like bought his book, and it got to the point where like they needed to make a new law about like this. So that's the influential bit of this case. This is such an interesting case. Influenced major US law, um had like an interesting like weird like dog thing, like mental thing. So I find this to be a fairly interesting case.
Yeah.
I think that's it, right?
Yeah. I threw in final thoughts if you want to hit present again.
Oh yeah, okay. I can't believe we forgot final thoughts. I mean, how can we end the live stream without final thoughts? How can we not think finally, right? Like, I just don't get it.
And on the topic of death, all of our thoughts are quite final.
Wow, that's depressing.
I'm a poet.
So let's see. Yeah, this Psychology of Murder. Hopefully, it was an interesting stream for you guys. Bit of a downer one. A little depressing. We had some interesting discussion. Interesting, like, not really debate. I wouldn't quite say debate. We weren't really debating things. We were just discussing, presenting arguments, trying,
Banter.
huh?
Exactly.
Banter.
Yeah, banter. Yeah. Trying not to be like too political or anything. Um, so I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
Oh yeah, thank you for coming, Lucia. Sorry that we didn't introduce you at first.
It's fun.
Do you have like a social media or anything that you would like us to promote?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I just
You
put
have
you
an
as like,
address that you want us to leak?
no. 'Cause
I'm
IP
good.
address.
I just put you as Lucia in the description, but like when we had like Brendan on, I would put like Huey Films. Um, So yeah, thank you for being here, for being our guests like 2 weeks in a row and bearing with us with our Wi-Fi issues.
Thank
Uh,
you for having me.
yeah, it's really fun to have you on stream. And as with any guest we've had, I will invite you that you can come on again whenever you'd like. You know, if you ever feel like coming on the show again, you can just ask us. Um, and yeah, so I would also like to thank you, Sebastian, for being my co-host as always. Yeah, this was, although it was a bit of a downer, I think it was a
I'm having fun. I don't
fun,
know about you. I'm
yeah,
having fun.
yeah, it was a bit of a downer at first, and I was really not vibing.
You were distraught.
I was distraught. You may have
I'm glad I
noticed.
checked and made sure that your audio was working, because we could have gone this
Hmm,
entire stream without any of your audio, and that would
that's
have been the
true.
final insult.
I probably would have
That would have been your
snapped.
motive to kill. Yeah, you would have become
Oh gosh.
the son of
No.
Annie, and
Yeah.
you would go out
Oh,
and you
my
would
dog.
just
No.
slaughter.
Yeah. I'm still bummed out about my computer. I can't believe it happened like this. So unexpected. Cut down in the prime of its life.
Look what they did. Look how they
Look how
massacred
they
my boy.
massacred my boy, Aster Zero. Okay, so yeah, this was fun with friends, entertaining. So I'm in a slightly better mood now than I was
That's
at the
good. I'm
beginning.
glad we could cheer you up with
Yeah, thank
tales
you.
of Ted Bundy and the nuclear option.
Yeah, well, when you say it like that, it's not
Cheery?
it doesn't yeah, it doesn't paint me in the best light, but no, I just enjoy talking to my friends. Um,
I'm glad you're so freaking pleased and enthused with ethnic cleansing,
oh
Max.
no. Okay. Anyways,
I'm
thank you
glad
You
you're
all
having
for
finished my
such a
watching.
good
drawing, but you
time.
look like Ash Ketchum.
Oh boy. That's a thing that
Are
happens.
you how are you doing on the anime drawing of Max?
Oh, let's see it.
Oh yes. That's so good. Oh my god.
Thank
Oh, wait, send
That's
me a
great.
picture of that. I'm gonna hang that up.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we
Will
gotta.
do.
That can
Yeah,
go
maybe
with
I can
like
make that my profile picture at one point.
that of me.
Oh my gosh.
It's kinda light, but here,
Yeah, yeah,
wait.
yeah. That's
If I do
cool.
that,
Oh, nice.
That's sick.
That's
yeah.
cool.
That's like a vector of me.
Yeah,
We have Vector, Sebastian, and
Vector
Anime
Sebastian.
Max.
Yeah, yeah. So, thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. Like, I hope it wasn't too depressing, even though it's a depressing topic. Um, and I hope you learned something as always. And I hope this was a good use of, 2.5 hours on a Sunday evening. So, yeah, that's it. I'm gonna end the stream unless you guys have anything else to say. All good? All right. Goodbye, everyone.